So hey guys, how are you all? Welcome to So we are back with a brand new movie on what if Naruto became the shield hero with Raphtalia movie, but before we start, be sure to subscribe to our channel and like this video. Now let's begin the story. Ashina Uzumaki is thankful that her and her son's life is easy. It was a challenge at first in raising Naruto after the death of her husband, but with the help of her friends and the fact that Minato left her a huge fortune they came out fine. But she kept a few big secrets that only a few people in Konoha know, not even her son. First is her marriage to Minato was kept secret from the rest of the people, and only a dozen people knew of this fact. Second is the fact that she came from a prominent clan that no longer exists. And last, which is the biggest and closely guarded one, is that Minato sealed the nine-tailed fox into their only son, thus making him the new Jinchuriki. All of this was done so she and her son can have a normal and healthy life, not worrying too much of assassins or shinobi attempting to kill or abduct Naruto. Of course Hiruzen was planning on telling the whole village, naively believing they would see him as a hero for keeping the mighty beast at bay. Thankfully Kushina nipped it in the bud with a thinly veiled threat of castration. Hiruzen's idea was squashed before it began. And thanks to her efforts Naruto is able to grow up happy and safe, making many friends throughout his childhood. One of his first is Hinata Hyuga, the daughter of her dear friend Hiromi. The two became very close when Naruto came to Hinata's defense when she's being bullied by three boys. Then came Shikamaru and Choji and Ino. Even children who came from normal family became good friends such as Rock Lee, Tenten and Sakura. What's even amazing is the fact he made friends Gaara, Temari and Kankuro during the time the Kazekage visited the village for an important meeting with Hiruzen, marveling at his ability to defend himself without lifting a finger. This may look like a normal friendship to the regular citizens, but to the higher-ups like the Hokage and the clan heads, this can further strengthen the alliance between the villages of Konoha and Suna. Though not everything is perfect, a tragedy happened. Itachi Uchiha for whatever reason had slaughtered his own kinsmen, killing half the clan, mostly the men and women who are shinobi, the rest are spared. No one understand why he did it, why he committed such a heinous crime. Kushina's questions are answered when Mikoto, who was thankfully spared, told her everything. Apparently there was a conspiracy. Fugaku was planning to launch a coup d'etat against the Leaf Village, while Hiruzen was planning to talk to him, in hopes of reaching a compromise. Danzo just went for the violent and bloody solution. He'd given an order to Itachi to kill all who take part in the coup. Sadly Itachi accepts and rest is history. She begs Kushina to keep everything she heard a secret, so to preserve the honor of the Uchihas. Kushina's dislike for the old war hawk grew further, as the order basically left many Uchiha children without their mother or father. Sasuke was deeply affected by this event as it was his own brother who did the deed. Luckily Mikoto is there to love and care for him, to put him in the right path and not of blind vengeance. Then there's the attempted kidnapping of Hinata. Though many called it the Hyuga affair, Kumo decided to make peace and hopefully build an alliance with Konoha, had sent an envoy who will sign the peace treaty, but it was a sham. The Kumo shinobi used this as an opportunity to enter the Hyuga compound and entered Hinata's room. Thankfully Hiromi and Hinata was at the Uzumaki residence at the time. The intruder tried to find another victim, but by this time he was discovered and was apprehended. Since no death had occurred, Hiruzen had managed to peacefully settle this, with the Kumo shinobi in question now banned from ever entering the Land of Fire, and the Hyuga members who caught the intruder are punished. Along with being a single mother, she also keep on training herself and go on some mission as a shinobi, though she do this in very few occasions. This is so she keep her body, skills and abilities in top shape, ready to defend herself and her son from anyone who wishes them harm. She would also train Naruto in the ways of shinobi to prepare him to the many challenges ahead. Learning the shadow clone, which became his trademark and most used jutsu, with such a large reserve of chakra, thanks to being a Jinchuriki, he is able to use it effectively in tandem with other jutsus, able to use combos and unique combination tricks he used during the mission on the Land of Wave battling Zabuza's companion. Speaking of mission, they're now in a restaurant with close friends celebrating the success of Team 7, Naruto telling how they fought Zabuza and Haku, while Kakashi recounts the whole experience, from Tazuna lying, how dangerous the situation is to the villagers finally standing up to the tyranny of Geto. It was a hard battle, but they managed to come out at top. Even telling how Zabuza changed sides when the greedy businessman foolishly decided to cut him off. It was then Hinata pulls out 3 books and hands it to Kushina. Miss Kushina, mother bought these as a gift for Naruto, storybooks that mother believed that Naruto would like. The Hyuga heiress is still a bit shy around Naruto, but she's learning to overcome this thanks to her Hiromi. Oh, thank you, Hinata, he'll appreciate this. She take a look at the books. The first is titled The Wandering Shinobi, a story about a rogue shinobi trek through the strange and foreign lands. The second one is Rise of Gozenheim, which featured a princess who took her father's armor and sword to protect her domain. Then there's the last one is called The Tale of the Four Heroes. She doesn't know why, but she has the sudden urge to read it. Mom, what are you reading? Naruto curiously asks, wiping his mouth with his sleeve. Storybooks bought by Hiromi. She opens the last one and read the first paragraph. Word tells of a final prophecy that speaks of another world. In order to save our own from calamity, heroes are called forth from the other world to aid us. The 4 heroes each possess the legendary weapon. The sword, the spear, the bow, and the shield. When she flips the page is when they notice something very odd. "Hey, why is it blank?" Naruto asks incredibly. "Did they give a wrong book or something?" Maybe they made a mistake," Hinata reasons. But before Kushina utters a single word she felt a sudden exhaustion drifting into a deep sleep and closing her eyes, and the next moment she opens them is when she realizes that she's in a totally different place. Fully alert she looks around with guarded look, wondering if a hostile shinobi manages to summon them, and that's when she realizes that Naruto and Hinata is here with her already in a near troubled state. What happened, where are we? Hinata hugs Naruto not fully understanding the situation. Naruto comforts his friend and then notices that a shield is attached to his arm and tries to take it off. "What is this thing? I can't take it off." Kushina holds their shoulder and calms them down, taking a closer look at the shield that seems to be glued to her son's arm, and then she looks at the 3 boys and a group of men in robes. "I can't believe it, the summoning is a success," said one of the robed men then pleads. "Oh great heroes, please save our troubled kingdom. We worked hard in this ritual to bring you all to our world." Kushina studies the men and whispers to the 2 genins. "Follow my lead, be on guard, and don't bring attention to yourself." "Yes, Mom, Miss Kushina." Naruto and Hinata reply as they stay behind Kushina and are on high alert, not knowing they're in enemy territory. Kushina listens intently as the robed man explains even further. The biggest calamity struck their nation. This phenomenon called the waves where cracks appear up on the skies and monsters and demons pour out. Only the 4 legendary heroes and the vassal heroes have the chance to stop it. There she learns of the 4 legendary weapons. Spear, sword, bow, and shield. Now it all makes sense to her. Her only son is chosen to be the shield hero, but since she and Hinata are here, does that mean they're both going to be vassal heroes? They might find out soon enough. Then the 3 other heroes spoke up. "I have to say no in this, so forget it." "Me too, do you guys feel guilty in taking us from our world without consent? If you guys are thinking of throwing us away after all is said and done, then we might have a problem." The 3 shinobi are quite appalled by their words. These people in their world are in danger, and they just brush it aside because they summon them at random. Naruto is about to say something until Kushina holds his shoulder signaling him to not say anything. He hesitantly nods his head. "You don't have to worry, great heroes," the man hastily said in attempt to appease the 3 boys. "You all will be greatly rewarded for your glorious deeds. You must first talk our king at the castle. You can discuss of treasures and prizes to him." "Well, if that's the case, lead us to him," the blonde spear hero said as he glances at the radiant beauty and winks at her. Kushina merely just ignores him as she Naruto and Hinata follow the robed men. While walking through the halls the shinobi listen into the 3 boys' conversation. It's obvious that they're excited that they're in a different world, but what they pick up some interesting info is how they compare this kingdom to a continent called Europe and the Mediterranean Sea. Then the bow boy asks them. "How about you 3, have you been traveling outside of Japan before?" They have no idea where or what Japan is, but Kushina gave him a vague half-truth answer. "We rarely leave our small town, and when we do we mostly visited the neighboring villages." "I see," the boy didn't think too much of it and went on to talk more topics with the other 2. Kushina whispers into the ear of Naruto and Hinata, telling them to remain silent and let her handle all the talking. When they got to the throne room they get a glimpse of an elderly man wearing expensive garb of gold and purple, crown and rings on his fingers, but one thing that Kushina notices is that there are 2 thrones. The king's thrones is much smaller than the other which is bigger, but it is vacant. She wonder why. So these are the legendary heroes. He studies the newcomers, but is very curious when he saw the red-headed woman and a girl who seems to be blind. "I am Alcray Melrimerk XXXII, King of Melrimerk. Please introduce yourselves, great heroes." Before any of the before can say a word the woman beats them to it. "I am Kushina Uzumaki, and this is my son Naruto and his friend Hinata." When they look at the young genins Naruto merely said, "Hey," with a big grin, and Hinata take a bow to show respect. "Though I don't know how the summoning works, but it seems me and Hinata are summoned along with my son who is the new shield hero." The royal court is surprised that the ritual had summoned more people than intended, as it is very rare for it to happen, though it is said that the summoning tends to be unpredictable and random. "I guess it's my turn," Kawasumi Itsuki, a 17-year-old high school student. Amaki Ren, age 16, I'm a high school student as well. And I'm Kitamura Motoyasu, 21-year-old college student. Kushina, Hinata, Ren, Itsuki, Motoyasu, and Naruto, is that correct? Kushina took notice of the kings moving her son's name last and giving him a glare that have hate behind them. Already she's having a bad feeling about this, not trusting this man in the slightest. The king went on to recap what was already said about the waves with few more information, stating that the first wave had already happened and the kingdom suffered massive casualties. A robed man from before approaches them. If you want to proceed, please confirm your statuses. Or what? Naruto asks, not understanding what he just meant. What's he talking about? Motoyasu adds. You haven't noticed it yet? Ren said, looking rather bored. It's an icon at the bottom right of your vision, just look and concentrate on it. Interesting enough, it seems Kushina also have this, including Hinata, judging by her reaction, and looking at their stats is where she find it very noteworthy. Kushina Uzumaki. Shinobi. Level 80. It seems her past experience in missions and trainings have carried over, giving her a powerful advantage. The same can be said about Naruto and Hinata, the Hyuga having level 3, while Naruto is level 7, not surprising, considering that Naruto and his team had finished a mission that is considered to be a high-ranking one around ARS. Another thing that is interesting, that being a Jinchuriki also have an effect. Vessel of a tailed beast. Increase base HP and MP by 200% and other stats by 100%. Effect can be increased through training or by leveling up. Now this is very advantageous, looking at the other heroes, and she can tell that they're just civilians, judging by the fact that they're level 1 and appears to have no past combat experience. Then she saw Ren looking at them with incredulous look, definitely not expecting that one of the summoned people is already on a high level. It is also important for all of you to know that you must form your own party or group, as the legendary weapons naturally repels each other. The man adds. And sure enough, a phrase appears to tell them of the negative effect if they're fighting together. Luckily Kushina and Hinata aren't legendary heroes, and it looks like they're automatically listed as Naruto's companions, so no trouble there. Worry not, great heroes, we will find volunteers from adventurers and warriors who will join and fight for you, in addition in handing you funds for every month, All-Cray said to the heroes, giving Naruto a glare with concealed hatred, which again Kushina notices. Now Naruto and Hinata also caught of this. Now please, enjoy your stay and the hospitality we will provide. Later that night at the feast hall, the heroes dine until their belly is full. The buffet is filled with luxurious food fit for nobles and royalties. Naruto stuffs his plate with loads of food from steak to roasted duck, though no vegetables on site, but Kushina will let it pass this time. It's no Ichiraku ramen, but these foods are still good. He chowed down at a fast pace, though his mother told him to slow down. It's good to be a hero, you get perks and privileges and a lot of cute girl to serve us. Motoyasu said out loud, then flirts with one of the serving girls. He would want to sit next to the Kushina or Hinata, but they placed themselves at the other side far from him. He don't have a thing for single moms, but man, that Redeet is such a beautiful woman. He believed that his charm would attract all the young women, but it seems the Kushina is just ignoring him, but instead taking care of the two children. Then there's Hinata, who is the definition of mo girl, but she's focused on Naruto, which make him jealous. After sipping a cup of wine, Itsuki asks. Do you think that this place feels like a video game setting? It feels like a video game because it is a video game, it's exactly like Emerald Online. Motoyasu states like a know-it-all. Don't you mean Dimension Web? It's the most popular game in the world. What do you guys mean? This world is obviously like Brave Star Online. Ren puts down his fork and turns to Naruto. What about you? Surely you agree with me. Naruto stops eating and looks at Ren, then the other two, hearing their conversation despite eating loudly, he just shrugs. I don't know, because I have no clue what you guys are talking about. The three boys could not believe what he just said. Surely a boy his age would at least know a single video game or even play consoles or computer. Kushina took over and spoke up, gaining the three boys' attention. It seems to me that judging by your answers, you boys may not came from a single world, but came from different parallel dimensions. Before they could ask any question, she beats them to it. Let's first start with the leaders of your nation. And so the three boys gave different answer, which surprises them. Then they asks questions and answers accordingly. Questions such as who face in 1,000 yen bill, who's the famous celebrity, the date, famous phrase, and so on. After a while of telling the differences, they slumps on their seats with disbelief. Different worlds, parallel dimension, and alternate timelines, I can't believe, but then again we shouldn't be surprised by this. Itsuki went back to eating his meal, contemplating what he learns from his fellow heroes. By the way, Miss Kushina, you and Hinata never say anything about your world or yourselves. Motoyasu is now working on his manly charms and trying to woo the two. Kushina is very irked by his behavior and is disturbed by his unusual attention to her and Hinata. The young Hyuga felt a little disturbed by the way the spear hero is looking at her. But Kushina answers, again giving vague answers. I would have said something, but the results would be the same, different leaders, different celebrities, etc., etc., and etc. I like to keep things to ourselves and I like my information private. She gave Ren a glance which causes him to flinch. Ran would have said anything about Kushina's status as a shinobi or asks her about it, but judging by the way she's looking at him, he respectfully keep that info to himself, let Motoyasu and Itsuki figure it out for themselves. Naruto let out a sigh of relief as he relaxes back on his seat, turning to his mother. Oh man, that really filled the hole. So what should we do now? Now, we should rest for the night and prepare for tomorrow. Wait, you sure you don't want to walk around the castle, get to know each other? The blonde spearman suggests to the three, though it seems that it's focus on Kushina and Hinata. Kushina merely just looks at Motoyasu with the eyes before saying with an annoyed smile no, then went to ask a maid. Can we have a separate room? Yes, no problem, my lady. The maid happily said as she led the three shinobi away to their rooms. When they're away Motoyasu speaks his mind. Man, Hinata's really cute and Kushina is so beautiful, I don't care if she's a single mother. Ren and Itsuki look at him with disgust. That's a huge assumption to make, Motoyasu, how do you know she's single? Itsuki quizzically questions him. Yeah, considering that all of us are summoned randomly, there's a good chance that she's still married, no doubt her husband is worried sick that they disappeared, or worst he might think they left him. Ren adds it's quite clear to him that the spear hero is a skirt-chaser and womanizer, he's just hoping that this trait won't end up in something bad. Back with the shinobi trio they went in their room to settle in, when the maid closes the door Kushina whispers to Hinata. Use your Byakugan, see if there's someone listening behind the walls. Nodding her head Hinata uses her clan's trademark ability, her Byakugan allows her to see through walls and spots a person's chakra signatures, and sure enough there are 3 people spying on them. Miss Kushina, there are 3 of them. One up on the ceiling, second behind a portrait, and last is hiding by the window. Hearing this Kushina then performs a few hand seals and touch the floor. Due to her Uzumaki lineage, she have a vast knowledge of different types of seals technique. This particular seal will create a barrier around the room where outside individuals can't hear nor see that is going on inside. The only thing the spies can see are the inhabitants just standing in their spot. Feeling really secure Naruto can relax himself, plopping on the bed. Man, I knew I'm not alone in sensing that someone's watching us, thanks mom, thanks Hinata. Hinata blushes from his compliment as she deactivates her Byakugan. Miss Kushina, how are going to tell our friends from the Leaf Village? Is there a way? I don't know, but there is one thing we can try. Naruto, can you properly perform a summoning technique? Just recently during Naruto's last year in the academy his godfather thinks it would be the best time for Naruto to form a contract with the Toads. Yeah, but I can only summon small ones like Gamakichi and Gamatatsu. Naruto would love to summon a bigger toad such as the legendary Gamabunta. It doesn't matter, if we can summon someone from our world and establish communications, then we'll be able to summon reinforcements and make our time here easier. Kushina replies. Okay, I'm going to do it. It's a good plan. Rising from the bed Naruto bit his finger and do a few hand seals and slams his hand on the ground, a cloud of smoke explodes and when it dissipates reveals one of Naruto's animal summons and friend. Hey Gamakichi. Naruto. The young toad said with a surprised look upon seeing him and Kushina and Hinata. Where did you 3 go? The whole village is looking for you. Something unexpected happened, you might want to sit while we explain. And so Kushina told him everything that had happened from being summoned by a group of rogue people, meeting the king of Melramerk, learning of the wave of catastrophe and Naruto is the chosen shield hero and the 3 other legendary heroes. Therefore it is important that you return to our world, tell Jiraiya and Hiruzen of our situation and our request for reinforcements. Understood, you can count on me. And with that Gamakichi disappear in a puff of smoke. So mom, what should we do now? Naruto asks while sitting down admiring the softness of the bed. Wait till our friends arrive, in the meantime you 2 should rest while I'll send out shadow clones to gather information. I like to help, I can make 100 of them, we can gather a lot of info in a short time. Naruto is always eager to help his mother. Kushina chuckles at her son's enthusiasm and went to pat his head. Thank you, but I must do this alone, your skill in stealth is still not developing yet. Okay, Naruto is disappointed but fully understands, his mother is much more capable in the field of espionage and he fears his clones will just mess it all up. Thinking back to the time at the throne room he wants to tell her about this thought in his head. Mom, I think the king don't like me, I don't know why. I noticed that too, when the king looked at Naruto he have this hidden hatred behind his glare. There's something going on here, perhaps a bad history with the previous shield hero. I intend to find out. Kushina performs the shadow clone and made 4 copies of herself, then each used body flicker technique to disappear out of sight. While they're out learning more of this country let's learn more about that shield. They open up their stats screen to find out more information about the legendary shield. They went through the features such as item drop, crafting, inventory, wave summoning, and more. What Kushina notices is that the shield grant immunity from slave seals and mind control spells or curses. Does that also mean that heroes are immune to genjutsu, or just the type that controls the victims? There's also a good chance the heroes are immune from the Amanaka's famed techniques. And then the restrictions. First one that they already know is that heroes can't gain exp when fighting together, but Naruto bursts when he read the next line. What? I can't use other weapons except shields. Naruto reaches down to his pocket and pulls out a kunai, but the shield emits an electric shock, causing him to drop the knife. You got to be kidding me. At least it doesn't restrict you from using your jutsus, you can still use shadow clones, and all the other jutsu Kushina taught you. Hinata cheers him up, which really helps him. She thinks that the shield would suit her far better due to the fact that her primary fighting style revolves around her clan's famed gentle fist. And it seems that the shield will restrict you from traveling other worlds, which means you can't be reverse summoned until you finish dealing the waves, unless you get permission from a guardian beast. Kushina read that restriction again. It seems that they have to deal with whatever comes their way, and her motherly instinct is screaming at her to take her son and Hinata away from this kingdom. She's sensing that these people are intending to harm her only child. It's getting late, we should get some rest, but first bath time. You like me scrub your back, Naruto? Mom, I'm not a kid anymore. Naruto embarrassingly said while Hinata giggles at the exchange. Later on, as Naruto and Hinata are fast asleep on the bed, Kushina takes out her weapons pouch, 2 scrolls containing many of her items. The first one contains clothing. A standard forehead protector and flak jacket, black pants and shirt, footwear and women's undergarments. The second scroll contains all of her weapons and other tools. Kunai knives and shurikens, explosive tags, wire strings. Flash bombs, smoke bombs, 1 Fuma shuriken, and her most treasured weapon, the Black Star Katana. The history of this sword is this was forged from a fallen star, though technically it's a meteorite. A blacksmith went to collect the material from the crash site and tried to forge a new type of blade. It was a huge success, for he forged a katana that is 50 times more durable than most katana. A sharp blade that is near impossible to break nor chip. The metal's properties also allows the user to channel chakra through it, making another layer of blade that can cut or pierce through armor with ease. Minato had bought one as a birthday gift for her, which soon became her trademark sword. She changes from her housewife's outfit to that of her shinobi uniform. After waiting for another hour, the clones all dispel and a wave of information flood her mind. Her clones gathered as much as they could from reading in royal and public libraries to listening to gossips, and apparently the king hold a lot of information from them. It appears that this kingdom is a matrilineal nation, meaning the queen have the true authority, but is currently away in a diplomatic mission, and what's more is that Alt-Cray don't the rights to authorize a summoning ritual. Alt-Cray's action may have severely crippled his kingdom's international relations with the other nations, because only one hero can be summoned in one country. But what disturbs Kushina the most is the history and religion of this kingdom, mostly the Three Heroes Church, which demonizes the shield hero, and Alt-Cray's past grievances with Sylvalt and the previous shield hero. All in all, this make Melramerk a hostile nation for her son and his allies. Kushina will not allow it. If they dare lay a finger on her son with the intent to harm, then she'll make them suffer through hell and make their death slow and painful. Ever since learning Melramerk's religion and its past conflict with Sylvalt and the previous shield hero, Kushina is in high alert, ready to cut down anyone who dare threaten her son. She sent out more clones to do more intelligence gathering, each disguising from knights to a servant and peasant. When it's morning and the 2 children wake up, she told them of what she knows and that they must be on their guard in case the king or anyone else tries to do something against them. When morning came, the heroes get together and the 3 offensive heroes are surprised to see Kushina's new getup. The summoned heroes stood at the center of the throne room. In front of them are warriors and adventurers with varying arms and armor. Naruto whispers to her mother, "So are we going to pick which one, or it's the other way around? If it's my choice, then I prefer none of them. There's a good chance that these people will either stab them in the back or act as spy for the king." Alt-Cray then gave a speech to the heroes and adventurers. "Great heroes, we have gathered all of our best people to join you in your quests and your fight against the wave of calamity. Now, brave adventurers, choose your hero." The adventurers walks forward to be their chosen hero's companion. Thankfully, these people seems to follow the country's religion or have a bias against the shield hero, as none came to Naruto. 5 for Ren, 3 for Itsuki, and 4 for Motoyasu. Naruto would be sad by this, but if his mother don't want any of them, then these people's choice is fine by him. This is quite unexpected. No one want to be the shield hero's companion. It doesn't look like it, but Alt-Cray is inwardly satisfied. Kushina thought that the king is just bullshitting, knowing about the religion and the king's past. She's definitely expecting something like this, and the situation will be easy, as they won't have to keep an eye on potential spy or enemy. This may look unfortunate, but I believe it is fair, the summoning probably foresaw this moment and summoned me and Hinata as his companions. Everyone in the room can't really argue with this logic though brings more questions regarding how the summoning works. Then the quiet girl speaks, despite her voice is low, everyone else remains silent to hear what she say. I think this is for better, a good team must have people who fully know of each other's abilities and skills, for this will make the team more effective than a team of complete strangers, that's what Kurenai said to me. Wait, are you too sure about this? You might get hurt in adventures, and I heard the waves are very dangerous, my party is open if you want. Motoyasu asks them though he is surprised to get a different reaction, instead of flattered answer, he gets a cold shoulder from the Retid. Kushina gave him a sweet smile, but there is neither warmth nor flattery behind it, instead she's emanating malice. The people in the room became tense at seeing this exchange, then she spoke. Are you suggesting that I should just leave my son all alone and let him fend for himself? And no, that's not what I meant, I was just concerned for your safety, that's all. The spear hero quickly defends himself not expecting such annoyance and ire from the woman. Is that so? Then you should know already that as a mother my child's safety is my primary concern. Kushina already doesn't like this guy, she can see that he's the type who would flirt with any women he finds beautiful, and added the fact he doesn't care for Naruto's well-being. This seemingly long tense meeting is broken when the shield hero suddenly whines. Mom, I'm not helpless you know, I can take care of my own. Kushina turns to him no longer emanating malice and is now letting off a motherly aura. Of course you are, but you're still my baby and you should know by now my favorite phrase. Mother knows best. Naruto just pouts and his cheeks redden from embarrassment. Motoyasu breathed a sigh of relief he felt like Kushina is about to stab him with a rusty knife. Itsuki whispers to him, real smooth there, playboy, to which he angrily whispers back, shut up. Bran just shook his head in disbelief, the spear hero just have to ask a stupid question like that, it's clear from the moment they met that Kushina will care more about Naruto and Hinata than Motoyasu, the blonde spearman is just thinking with his groin there for a moment and now Kushina is very annoyed of him. The mother then turns to the king to address him. Since no one came to join us I think it's fair that you give some additional funds. The king snaps from his stupor and nods in agreement. Of course, just this moment the shield hero's party will receive 800 silvers, while the rest will receive 600. Now before you all go is there anyone want to say or change? Yes, I have something to say, spoke a female voice gaining everyone's attention, they all turned to one of Motoyasu's party member, a red-headed young woman with green eyes. I like to volunteer to join the shield hero. Motoyasu looks very surprised by her decision and asks. Are you sure about this? Of course, it's sad to see these three going out there with little knowledge of our world. The adventurer went to the trio and introduces herself. Hello, I'm Mine Sophia, it's a pleasure to meet you three. Naruto greets back with a welcome to the party, Mine and Hinata bows and said, it is a pleasure to meet you too, Miss Mine, but Kushina on the other hand stares at her, the volunteer's face is masked that hides a dark side, and her motherly instincts is screaming at her to take Naruto and Hinata as far away from this woman for Kushina sensed malicious intent from Mine. For now she'll play along and said. Hello to you too, Mine, I hope we can get along. Very well, is there anyone else want to say or switch? Seeing that no one have any words to say Alcray loudly announces to the heroes and their party. Then you all may begin your journey. Once they're all out into the town go on their own way the shield heroes party is going through town thinking of their plan for today. Kushina kept looking at their new friend as she asks. So, what should we do? Eat at a restaurant, explore the town, or fight some monsters? Or buy some equipment first, oh and I know the best place to get the best gear, follow me. Mine lead the way with the three following behind. She led them to a weapon shop and went inside, there they saw an assortment of different weapons hanging by the walls and racks, armor of various kind and sizes. Then a man came out to greet them. Hey there, if you're looking for the weapons and armor you come to the right place, name's Earhart by the way. And I'm Naruto Uzumaki, the new shield hero, and this is my mom Kushina, and these are my friends. Hinata and Mine. Naruto proudly declares. So you're the new shield hero, the town's been abuzz about all the heroes in Melramerk, have a look around you might find something that suits you. The trio went to browse through his arsenal, he saw Kushina is just looking after them. How about you, you're not interested? Kushina just smiles at him. No, I already have what I need right here. She pats her sword making the blacksmith curious. Is that so, mind if I take a look? I'm always curious as to what type of swords from Otherworld have, if you don't mind that is. Kushina carefully observed the man and sensed no malicious intent from him, she draws her katana and lays it on the counter in front of him. Do be careful with it, this is a gift from my husband. Earhart is astonished, not expecting this, but sees that she looks at her son, as if she doesn't want him to know, not wanting to delve deeper into Kushina's personal life, he examines the sword. I got to say, this is good stuff, the material smell to your sword is meteorite, right? She looks surprised by his observation and he continues on. Weapons made of meteorite are highly sought after, they say that the properties of fallen star have special abilities, not all have the same thing of course. I'm impressed, you certainly know your stuff, then I again since you're a well-known blacksmith, this should be expected. Kushina smiles, first thing she wanted to know is if there's people who don't show bias against the shield hero, she'll test this man first. So Earhart, tell me more about yourself, what are your beliefs? Earhart looks confused by her sudden question, but immediately realizes what she's thinking, in a low voice he asks. You're actually aware about the Three Heroes Church? Kushina looks back at her son and see that mine is out of earshot. Yes, that and the fact that the king has a grudge against my son for being the shield hero, the fact that he's not the high authority, and the fact that this country is a hostile territory becoming an enemy territory. The blacksmith just sigh. I understand your predicament, I was actually surprised that the shield is summoned here in the first place, and I expect some consequences for Melramerk in the future for practically hoarding all the legendary heroes. The two adults knew what these consequences are. The first is obvious, have the heroes go to the other countries, if not then it's compensation, surrender of territory, hostages, and in worst case scenario war. The king just proves himself inadequate in diplomatic affairs it seems. And if you're planning on leaving this country for Siltvolt or Shieldford, don't worry, I won't judge and I definitely won't tell. Besides, they can't really stop you unless they want to cause an international incident. He said as he returns her katana. Kushina is surprised because she can see that he's being completely honest, no malevolence nor deception from his tone. It seems like there are some people who are good and can help them in this world, unlike the king and his ilk. Soon enough the shoppers return with the wares they want to buy. Mom, we want to buy these things. Laying the items at the counter, Earhart counts the total cost. Okay, the crystalline shield, 2 dozens of throwing daggers, 2 chainmail shirts, and 1 sword, hold on, no sword for you little lady. He is curious as to why Hinata only wants just the chainmail shirt and throwing daggers. I have a fighting style used by my family, this requires no weapons at all, Mr. Earhart. The young Hyuga explains. When he looks at Kushina she just smiles. Trust me, despite her shy and timid nature she's a strong fighter. Kushina's not going to tell much about the Hyuga's gentle fist, nor the fact that Hinata went through harsh training with Hiashi, just to make her strong and worthy of being the Hyuga heiress. Seeing that she's not going to say anything else, Earhart continues with the business. Alright, pure hand-to-hand combat, I like to see you fight since it's pretty rare for it exist here, anyway to sum it all it's going to be 100 silvers. After paying for their gears they set out to the plains outside Castle Town. Kushina whispers to Naruto and Hinata to not show much of their abilities, what better way to hide their skills is to fight weak monsters, mostly balloon monsters that are nigh harmless to them, despite these beings pack a painful bite, it's not enough to wound Naruto. While Mine is busy fighting, Kushina sent out more clones this time to find out more about their new companion, as she's sensing that Mina is of noble birth, judging by the way she speaks and the smell of her perfume. Throughout the day they fight weak monsters until the afternoon, after resting for hours, and seeing the sun is setting, they went to eat at an inn which happens to be both a restaurant and tavern, booking 2 rooms and ordering dinner. During their meals Mine shows them a map and plans their next journey. Just near this village is a dungeon where adventurers go, we won't find anything of value, but we can level up faster there, and with our equipment being brand new, so they should be easy battles. Yeah, those monsters won't know what hit them. Naruto is excited for their next destination as he took a big bite of a large roasted beef, this time he's having some vegetables in his plate as his mother requested it. Even if we're going up against weak monster that doesn't mean we shouldn't underestimate them or get careless, father and Kurenai both said that we must always be on guard and ready for anything. Hinata said and returns to eating her food. Kushina again just stares warily at Mine while quietly eating her food, though she did this in an inconspicuous manner, it's way too early for Mine to do anything against them, but when she suddenly orders a waitress for a bottle of wine and 4 glasses is when Kushina's alarm bells rings loudly. Say, this inn also serves one of the finest wines in the whole town, you should try it. Mine raises her glass full of the red alcoholic liquid. I respectfully decline, my father will be very angry with me if I have a small single sip of alcohol. Hinata softly said, the only way for her to drink any alcoholic beverages is when she's over 20 years old and in formal parties, even then it's very likely she'll consume in very limited amount. It's far too early to get drunk, I suggest saving it after fighting in this wave. Kushina reasons with Mine, but it seems she's rather persistent. Are you sure, just a glass will not hurt? At that point Mine is definitely trying to get them drunk, mostly Naruto as she's directing it to him. Speaking of which, Naruto looks like he's curious enough to want to try a sip, but he looks at Kushina and saw her disapproving look, causing him to politely say. My mom's right, it's definitely too early for these kinds of drinks. I promised to drink some during parties after the waves. This is a promise he will not keep, Kushina will make sure of it. An hour has passed, and when Kushina saw the plates empty and Naruto and Hinata looking full, she nudges them to go to the stairs. I think it's time for us to get some sleep, you know the saying. The early catches the worm. I see, well, good night and see you in the morning. When the trio gets in their room, Kushina immediately casts a seal to prevent anyone from hearing or seeing what they're doing inside. After another hour of settling in, one of her clones dispels to relay information to her, memories of eavesdropping on a few gossiping nobles. It seems our new companion holds back some information from us. Really, what is it? Naruto curiously asks. Mine Sophia is just an alias, her real name is Malti S. Melramerk, the first princess of Melramerk. This information surprises the Genins. Mine, I mean Malti, is a princess. But why keep it a secret to us? Nothing good, I assume, because I learn a lot about her and oh boy, a lot of it is not good. Apparently she lost her title as crown princess when she reveals herself to be a complete psychopath, pathological liar, greedy, corrupt, sadistic, and many more negative traits. The fact that the two Genins knowing how such a bad person the princess is really distresses them. They have to admit Malti is a really good actor and Naruto really fell for it. Then Hinata asks Kushina. What are we going to do with her? Obviously I'm going to kick her out of our group. First I'll try to be polite with her to get her leave on her own, but if she's being Kushina stops with her words as she receives another information from her dispelled clone, memories of spying on Malti and a hooded figure. After a few seconds she suddenly shouts, that bitch. Naruto and Hinata are shocked by her sudden outburst, which Naruto nervously asks. Hey, are you okay, mom? Seeing the scared state they're in, Kushina apologizes. Sorry about that outburst, but I just learned a very distressful news from my dispelled clone. She sat on a chair as she went on to share her thoughts. Malti and the Church of the Three Heroes are colluding against us. They're plotting to falsely accuse you of committing a terrible crime in order to paint you as what their demented scriptures say, make you a pariah of this country, the shield demon that they despise. Right now they're preparing a sham trial for tomorrow. Needless to say that Naruto is completely speechless, shocked by this turn of event. Hinata asks. What crime are they accusing him of? Kushina sighs as she took a whole minute to think. It's best that you don't know about this type of crime for the moment, just know that they're going to lie just to make you a criminal. First things first, Naruto, I want you to summon Gamakichi, after that I'll tell you all what we're going to do tomorrow. Naruto really don't know what to do in this situation. Being falsely accused of a crime is an unpleasantly new experience for him, but he is very lucky that his mother is here to handle the situation and he trusts her fully. Doing as she say, Naruto bit his finger and performs the summoning, his toad friend appearing before them in a puff of smoke. Kushina then tells them of her plan. First is that they mustn't leave the room until very early in the morning. This is so that Naruto will have an alibi, which is staying with his mother and friend for the entirety of the night. Second, before the sun rise they'll wake up, then make a shadow clone of themselves. The real trio will use transformation technique to disguise themselves as normal civilians, while the clones will go to the castle and stand trial. Next will depend on the verdict in the throne room. If clone Kushina manages to convince the court that her son is innocent, then they may linger around Melramerk for a while, getting stronger until it's time to leave the country. But if the king is in it to falsely condemn Naruto, then the trio will immediately flee to Siltbulter Shieldforden. After planning out their next day, Kushina tells Gamakichi of their predicament and requests their friends to hasten the reinforcements. After that they went to bed, but not before summoning clones to keep on guard. Kushina just summons one, while Naruto summons 5 to watch over. The night is an uneasy one, but Naruto is the first to fall asleep, followed by Hinata. Kushina, seeing that her clone is staying awake, she lay down on the bed right next to Naruto, clinging on to him, as if to protect him and prevent anyone from pulling him away, slowly drifting to a sleep to conserve energy. During her sleep more of her clones dispel, sending more vital information to her head. Already when the three shinobi is settling in their room, they spread false rumors that Naruto is a huge pervert or a sexual predator, and that he'll take advantage of poor defenseless women, which is the most ridiculous thing she ever heard. It's definitely a wise decision for her to not mention Naruto's age at all during the introduction, because some church members are having doubts and second thoughts about the princess's plan. Some are worrying that Naruto could be young as 11 or below, but some adamant believers speculates his age to be around 14 or 15. They're really stretching it out, but it is expected since most of the summoned heroes of the previous generations are old enough to fight, which is about 15 to 16. Now why is Malti's choice for the false crime rape? Well, turns out it is one of the most severe crimes, especially in a matriarchal society such as Melramerk. The penalty is death. She also believes that Naruto's age is 15, which is probably why she chose this particular crime. So using Melramerk's cultures and laws as your weapons, are you mine? Well, two can play that game. Kashina said to herself, learning more that women and children are considered most important and sacred according to Melramerk's culture. She will definitely use this against that conniving bitch, as well as the fact that Naruto will be considered a child by their laws. Next morning. An hour before the sun could rise, Kashina immediately woke up and proceeds and shakes the two children awake, along with dispelling all of her clones. Their memories pass on to her, which shows the knights haven't acted yet, and there was a person who attempted to enter their room, no doubt it's Malty. What is it, Mom? Naruto asks, slightly annoyed that he's being awakened this early. Naruto, it's time enact our plan. Suddenly remembering last night's event, Naruto fully awakens and in high alert, looking at his friend who nods. The three simultaneously perform and summon their own shadow clone, collecting all of their belongings, and then perform the body flicker technique to seemingly teleport away from the inn, leaving only the clones who all return to bed. When the sun rises, the knights from the castle sprang into action. A dozen of them jog through the street and enters the inn, and they position themselves by the door and began banging on it. This is the Knights of Melramerk, open this door immediately. The door suddenly swings open, revealing a really pissed off Kashina. The knights froze in place when they feel the cold and malicious intent radiating off of the retarded woman, and with a voice 3 times louder than theirs she said. Why the hell are you so loud in the morning? Don't you realize that people need peace and quiet while sleeping? One of the braver knights steps closer and nervously addresses her. My apologies, my lady, but the king have ordered the shield hero to appear at the royal hall. Kashina sighs in frustration before saying. Fine, just wait right there and let my son get dressed. She slams the door at their face. The knights can hear her voice waking up the shield hero and his friend. They would have been more aggressive but become hesitant, being very intimidated by the woman. After a minute or so, the door opens, revealing Naruto, who is looking very sleepy, and an irate Kashina. Alright, let's get this over with, take us to him. The knights didn't say a word except for one who said, follow us. They escort the trio to the castle. Along the way, Kashina can hear the gossip from the onlookers, and it seems to be conflicting one. When they got to the castle, they rush inside the throne room. Various nobles stand at the side and up the balcony, knights lined up in their respective guard positions, the king sitting on his throne with the heroes by his side, and the princess acting like a damsel in distress hiding behind Motoyasu. Looks like everything is in place. All that Kashina have to do now is prove her son's innocence. What's so urgent that you summon all of us here? We have you here today to answer for your son's crime. He's under arrest for suspicion of sexual assault. The king booms, filled with rage, but the shinobi trio aren't fazed by this. Wait, I did what now? Naruto asks, completely clueless behind the words. Motoyasu, looking like he's ready to pounce on the blonde shinobi, shouts. Hey, don't pretend like didn't know, you bastard. He would have approached the boy to give him a piece of his mind, but is stopped by Kashina's glare, making him freeze in place. Naruto, let mommy handle this, okay? Naruto just nods at her mother, remembering the plan. And who exactly is this person who made this accusation? The mother asks, feigning ignorance. She already knows the answer, but wants to hide the fact that she knows a lot already. The victim in question is none other than your own companion. The king turns to the weeping victim, which happens to be Malty, who seems to be still acting like his mine. I am very sorry to ask you again, can you recount what happened last night? Malty, letting out more crocodile tears, relives her horrid experience. Last night as I was preparing to go to bed when the shield hero barged into my room smelling of wine and mead. He suddenly started ripping off my clothes. I was so scared, but I was able to push him away, escaped, where I then bumps to Motoyasu. I would have spared you if it weren't for mine telling to wait until morning. Kashina, Hinata, you have to get from him and join me. I promise that I'll protect you both. The blonde spearman receives a glare from Kashina and Hinata, just clinging on Naruto's arm. Do you really think that just because you're the hero you can get away with such crimes? You're mistaken if you think you're a higher class than you are. Itsuki speaks his mind, but Ren on the hand remains quiet and watches the trial unfolds. Unexpectedly to everyone in the room, a loud laughter echoes through the hall. They look at Kashina, who take a whole minute before refuting Malty's testimony. You really expect me to believe that tripe? Naruto didn't have a single drop of wine, believe me, I made sure of it, plus Naruto was with me the entire night and any movement he makes would have waked me up. With that in mind, it is very likely that the accuser just lied. Kashina's testimony has changed the mood of many of the nobles, especially Ren and Itsuki. In Melramerk they take women's testimony very seriously, and this includes the shield hero's mother. Motoyasu couldn't believe that she's defending that rapist, so he went up to her and tried to convince her to his point of view. How you say that, can't you see that mine's crying? No women would. The retarded woman suddenly pinches his lips together, effectively silencing him. Honestly, Motoyasu, you're proving yourself a very gullible young man. Women lie too, they can let out fake tears and make up false stories. She pushes him away to keep his distance. Miss Kushina, I understand why you're doing this, but you must not let your feelings cloud your judgment and get in the way of the fact your son had committed a serious crime. Trust me, we have all clear reasons with her sensing that this woman will be trouble. Oh really, that's very hypocritical of you, King, because I can tell you are planning to convict my son regardless of his proven innocence, especially the fact that the accuser and my now former companion mine is your daughter, Malti S. Melrimerk. Everyone is surprised that she already know of mine's real identity, the heroes most of all, Ren and Itsuki, now starting to realize that this trial might be rigged against Naruto. Malti wasn't expecting this woman to know her true identity so soon. Plus there's also the fact you have a grudge against the previous shield hero, which you stupidly pass on to my son who haven't done a single thing. Miss Kushina, what are you talking about? Ren asks, not understanding what she meant. Melrimerk isn't the only country in this world, there's another called Siltvold, which is inhabited by demi-humans and beastmen. The two kingdoms had been at war for centuries, until the queen of Melrimerk had managed to form a truce and created peace. Siltvold worship the shield hero, and as a result the Church of the Three Heroes is formed in Melrimerk. And this particular church paints the shield hero as a demon just for siding with their enemies. Old Cray is shocked to see this woman know so much. This would also mean that this woman is painting him as biased against the shield hero, which is true. How do you know all of this? Oh, I did a little bit of reading in the libraries. In fact, such things are common knowledge among the populace of this world. Ren then speaks up, drawing his own conclusion. So does that mean this trial is a fake to shame the shield hero, just to spite Siltvold? Itsuki shook his in disagreement. If that is the case, then I don't want to be a part of your political schemes. He looks up to the king, very disappointed of him. Your Highness, there is no justice in what you are doing. You have to let go of this bias and judge him fairly. Old Cray and Malti are seething. This is not supposed to happen. The plan is simple. Accuse and convict him of a crime, then hopefully his two female companions will leave him, then keep him weak, so when the wave starts he'll very likely die fighting, thus showing to the world that their hands are clean. But now that plan is fast crumbling, all eyes are on him waiting for his next move. Now they're not sure if the fabricated evidence would even convince many of them. But before Alt Cray could try about the evidence, Malti in a desperate attempt comes up with another idea without thinking it through and immediately said. Wait, surely you're mistaken, when the shield hero is forcing himself on me, he said that after he's done with me, he going to take you and that girl as the main course, planning to assault you next. When Motoyasu heard this he went berserk, forgetting what Kushina said earlier. You animal. Not only you harm mine, but now you're taking advantage of your own mother and friend. Worry not, Kushina, I'll save you and Hinata. The blonde playboy didn't get to continue his tirade when Kushina's fist buries deep into his gut and sends him flying and crashing at two knights. Everyone is shocked by her sudden aggression and incredible strength. Then the next thing they see that she suddenly appears in front of Malti. Without giving the lying princess a time to react, Kushina gives her the biggest bitch slap. The force is great, sending Malti falling to the floor whimpering in pain and is stunned by this action. Such a pathetic attempt to incriminate my son. Tell me, do you enjoy accusing 12-year-old children of rape or assault? She then walks up to her usual place. Wait, are you saying that Naruto's age is 12? Ren asks incredulously, because if this is true then this trial is ridiculous from the start. The more experienced shinobi turns to him with a knowing smile. Why yes, I thought it should be obvious by now, can't you tell just by looking at him? Motoyasu, who recovers from her punch, slowly straightened himself out and said. That has to be lie, how do you know if he's lying? Ren, Itsuki, and everyone else with a working brain mentally facepalm at such a stupid question. Does he firmly believes Mine's accusation that he's willing to throw out common sense and logical thinking out the window? Are you my husband, or are you Naruto's brother? Kushina suddenly asks the idiotic spear hero, who is surprised by her question. Were you there when I give birth to my son? Are you there along with my friends who helped me raise him? The fact you believe that me or my son lying about his age just proves that you are the most idiotic man I ever met. Many of the nobles really thinks that the shield hero is at least 14 or 15, heck some even believe that he's 16 like Ren, but they can't really dispute Kushina on this, as it is natural that the mother knows a lot about her children, not to mention that it's customary for Melrimerk. Even if they try to find him guilty, the more cultural or logical mind will not stand idle in letting a possible innocent child be accused of sexual assault without solid evidence, and now when the actual age of Naruto is revealed, there is a sudden change of mood in the air as the nobles murmur and whisper to each other. Because a young woman in her early 20s accusing a 12-year-old of sexually assaulting her is downright ridiculous that only a brain-dead retard would believe it. The shield hero is only 12. He's still a child. It should be obvious just by looking at him. Are we really going to condemn a child? Only the disgraced princess has the gall to do something like this. Does she take us for a fool? We'll be the laughing stock of the world if the king is able to convict this poor boy. Ran and Itsuki too felt shame that they first believed the accusation, now no longer. Man, I should have known, Naruto looks way too young, I won't be surprised if he doesn't know the meaning of the word rape. Yeah, I feel stupid, shame on you Princess Multi for fooling us like this. Seeing that most of the nobles and the two heroes are now against him, All-Cray thinks of a way to salvage this, he have to scrap the only evidence he have, since a torn nightgown isn't going to convince most people now, that Kushina tells them of Naruto's alibi and his age, and the likelihood of said woman poking holes and claim it to be fabricated. But seeing the woman struck her daughter and the spear hero, have enrages him no longer caring what the others think. The shield demon may have escaped justice for now, but the same cannot be said for you, for the crimes of obstruction justice and assault on the princess and spear, you are to be imprisoned and promptly executed. The people in the room fell silent appalled by this decision. Does the king hate the shield so much that he's willing to sink this low and condemns the woman who has now proven her son's innocence to death? They await Kushina's response, wondering what she's going to do next. To their amazement she remains calm and collected, unfazed by the potential execution. Naruto, Hinata, I think it's time for you two to leave, the king has grown pathetic and unreasonable, and I don't want you to see what I'm about to do. Naruto looks hesitant, but with a nudge from Hinata he relents. As you say, Mom, please be careful. And with that the two children disappear in a puff of smoke, leaving just Kushina. Why you, order them to return this instant or I'll make you. The king rages, but his demand have no effect. Kushina holds the handle of her katana as she says. You have no jurisdiction in ordering me around, you're just a consort to the true ruler of this country, and certainly you're not the Hokage of my village. And if these knights try to put their hands on me then they will lose their hand, their limb, or even their life. She delivers these words with a threatening tone, along with radiating large amount of malicious aura, though Ren and Itsuki picks up a certain word, what the heck is a Hokage? Everyone in the room is glued to their spot now realizing that they're messing with a mother bear, and All-Cray shows his full intent in harming her cubs. The king finally loses his temper, now ignoring the consequences of going against these shinobi. Guards, apprehend the shield demon's mother and do not let her escape. Most of the knights are already hesitant in attacking this woman, but 8 move forward who are either brave or those who are fanatics to the three heroes' church, surrounding and charging forward with their sword and spear ready to strike, some even intent to kill her. But the most astonishing thing happens, in a blink of an eye Kushina appears outside the ring of knights, as she warned the knights lost their hand, limb, or their life, head falling off from the shoulders and onto the floor. The lucky ones who are alive scream in horror at the sight of their missing hand or arm. Then she walks up to the king, the occupants are now terrified of what they say and what she can do, the knights who are in front of the king are paralyzed with fear and not moving an inch when she walks by. When Kushina is in front of the king she thrusts her sword forward in a lightning strike, hitting the throne and blade just an inch to the king's face. Up close All-Cray realizes how terrifying she is much more than Morelia. I'm going to be merciful just this once, but I'll leave you with a warning. If you ever harm my son and those who I care for in any way, then I'm going to make you feel the most intense pain you never imagine. I will make you despair, cry, beg, suffer, regret, so much torment that you will wish that you never existed. She removes the sword and looks around to the audience. My team and I will fight the waves of calamity, but we will only do for the world not Melromark. If someone dares attacks or hinders my son, then I will make them disappear, that is my promise. After saying her piece she disappears in a puff of smoke, leaving a stunned crowd. The whole trial of the throne room was broadcasted throughout Castle Town. This is so the people can't see how much of a scoundrel the shield hero is, but unfortunately for the conspirators, they did not take in the account of the hero's mother Kushina Uzumaki to fully defend her son's innocence, and they definitely made a mistake in guessing Naruto's age to be around 15 or 16. It also didn't help that the accuser Multi-S Melromark is a well-known liar who lost her status as crown princess due to her many mischiefs and obvious corruption. The Church of the Three Heroes lost 1/3 of its member, as many absolutely refuse to believe that a child is capable of such a heinous crimes, and fully believes Kushina's testimony, customs and culture clash with religion, with over half the people in the capital taking the shinobi side, while the other choose to either remain neutral or fully believe the church's teachings. No matter how hard the agents of the church try to spread the false rumors of the shield hero's heinous crime and potential evil deeds, many simply dismiss these as raving of fanatics. Bisca's T. Balmus is currently in damage control, trying to sway many people from leaving the faith, all the while thinking of another way to convince the populace that their scriptures of shield demon is correct. Then he comes up with a simple solution, telling his followers and subordinates to spread the word that the shield demon will eventually do evil deeds once he reaches maturity. It's the best he can do as the failed trial just exposed that the king and the church having bias against the shield. It'll take some time, but he fully believes that people will see through the demon's facade and surely flocks back to his church. The image and reputation of the king and first princess are reduced to mockery. The attempt to convict a 12-year-old child is a massive scandal that spread like wildfire. The whole city knows in a day, and no doubt the rest of the world will know within a week. The spear hero too receives some negative feedback when he firmly believes Malty's accusation despite the alibi and testimony that prove otherwise. Soon people will starting to call him the gullible spear. Hearing how conflicted the populace is, Kushina decides to stay for a while and do some more research regarding Siltvolt and Shieldfriden, finding out if these particular demi-human nations practice slavery on humans is true, and if it was then they must be very wary if they were to go there, especially that her group and later reinforcements from her world are all humans. While Melramerk have some downsides such as the religion and the king having a grudge against Naruto for just being the shield, it is at least tolerable thanks to its matrilineal customs where women are important and children are sacred, something that Kushina will exploit and take advantage of. Though there is some hypocrisy or maybe exceptions, as they don't extend this view to the female or young demi-humans, this nation is a human supremacist through and through. Testing out the people's reaction, she summons 3 shadow clones and have the 2 performs transformation to disguise as Naruto and Hinata and then walk through the streets. For the most part the people merely just look and gossip. Kushina can hear that their conversations, most of them took one glance and either went back to their own business or talk about him. And most of these conversations lead to how disgraceful and pathetic the attempt by the king to convict a child of rape. To think the princess would accuse a child of a terrible crime. The king is no better, letting his grudge against the previous shield hero get the better of him and conspired to find him guilty. What's worst is he's trying to imprison the shield's mother who just proved her son's innocence. Seeing that most of the people condemn the king and princess's action, Kushina can relax but still on guard in case the king, the princess, or the church try something. Plus there's the fact that she sends at least a dozen spies to watch the clones. These stealthy operatives seem to come from different factions and is aware of each other, but they fail to sense or spot the real trio. Their disguise work remarkably. Naruto's disguise is that of a 17-year-old teen with red hair. Hinata's appearance is 17-year-old teen with brown hair and with hair reaching her waist, and Kushina's look is more of an older version of herself with darker red hair that is shortened. As the clones lead them away they take a different route. They stop at Earhart's shop. Once inside they drop their disguise, surprising the blacksmith. "Oh hey, you're back." Earhart puts down the armor he's polishing on the counter and greets the trio. "What can I help you with?" "We're here to buy a map. I'm very curious what the other countries looks like. In fact we might even go there right now." Naruto in his usual jovial tone, like the sham trial didn't bother him that much. Hinata on the other hand, is cautiously looking around with her Byakugan is active on the lookout against prying eyes. When the man looks at Kushina she said. "We might linger around Melramerk for a while. We need to know more about the other nations before we move. Can't blame why you all want to leave this kingdom. I just want to tell that you all that not all the people living here are bad and vast majority does not condone the princess and the king's action. Many decent citizens supports you even after you kill a handful of knights and threatens him." Earhart shook his head and smiles. "He just lost a huge amount of respect from populace, I can tell you that. I know, the people aren't really hiding their disdain for the trial. In case things get a little too hot we'll definitely leave, which is why we must know more about the other nation. What do you know about Siltvolt and Shieldfriden?" As Earhart went on to explain each of the nation including others such as Fabri, Tenlo, and Zeltable, Kushina send out shadow clones to dispatch the spies who are following them. With clone Kushina. The disguised clones who are trailing the spies are able to conceal their presence. She has to admit that these people are good at stealth. She'll first ask questions and will either spare or eliminate depending on their answer. Appearing behind a hooded man she puts her arm around his neck and a concealed kunai is pressed against his abdomen. "You've been following us for hours now, mind telling me who are you working for?" The spy stood silent for a moment then decides to answer truthfully. "My master is the king of Fabri. I've been dispatched here to see if Melramerk indeed summoned all the legendary heroes. I can promise you this. We have no intention of harming the heroes and their party members and we are only here to do surveillance. And yet the king decided and failed to imprison me and convict my son of a crime he didn't do. I already killed at least 3 spies belonging to the king and the Church of 3 Heroes, all planning on eliminating me, so there won't be an obstacle to their nefarious plans regarding my son." "Is that so?" The man chuckles as he answers back. "The king of Melramerk made a terrible mistake on his part, along with summoning all the heroes. This fiasco of a trial will spread far and wide, and many people will not live this down. If you want I can take you and the shield hero to Fabri where all of your needs will be met." "I'll think about it." Kushina disappears in a blink of an eye. Kushina approaches another spy and raises her kunai near the cloaked figure's neck. "Who's your employer?" Be warned that any attempt in escape or fighting back will result in your immediate death. You have proven quite elusive, Lady Kushina. I know something's off with those three currently walking on the street, the masked woman compliments, to show that she means no harm. She didn't resist and tells her what she's allowed to say. My loyalties lie with the Queen Morelia, not the cult that called themselves Church of the Three Heroes or Altcray, who is just the proxy king. She wanted to show you that she fully supports you and your son. Already she's sent several reprimands to curb the king's unsavory actions. Are you saying we should just trust her? It's really hard thanks to her husband's conviction to harm and shame my son and her daughter's attempt to paint my son as a criminal. She tightens her grip on her kunai, now touching the neck of the shadow. Prove that you're a friend of ours. Let's start with the first step. Tell me the political situation and if Morelia have prior knowledge of her husband's deeds. The shadow just sighs. She don't want to reveal too much. She talks, but not revealing sensitive information and vital intelligence. Most of the problems are caused by the Church of the Three Heroes. After the first wave struck the Queen and other world leaders traveled to Faubourg to discuss the summoning of the legendary heroes. It was decided that Melromark will be the fourth in line, with the strongest nation Faubourg being first. Unfortunately, her most trusted right-hand man Lord Cieto died during the last wave, leaving just her husband to rule the kingdom in her stead, and during her absence, the church used this opportunity to convince him to authorize the summoning. Right now the Queen is busy appeasing the other world leaders for this treachery. I can assure you that once Queen Morelia returns from her diplomatic, she will punish the king and princess for defamation and miscarriage of justice. You can send a clone to her and straighten things out if you want. Kushina narrows her eyes. It seems that this spy is aware about the shadow clone jutsu. Either way, she decides to give the queen a chance. Alright then, I'll talk to her. Wait for me outside the gate at nightfall. The shadow gave a sigh of relief. Thank you, Lady Kushina, but be warned that there are some shadows who are loyal to the church. They will not let you out of the kingdom that easily. Noted is all Kushina says before disappearing in a puff of smoke. It's one thing that Kushina didn't expect as the spy in front of her bows down to her. This shadow have a long cattail protruding from her back. She can already guess that this demi-human is a spy either from Siltvold or Shieldforden. Let me guess, are you from Siltvold? I'm actually from Shieldforden, Lady Kushina. The shadow confirms her thought. We are glad that Lord Shield is safe and sound. We applaud your actions against the disgraceful trial set up by King and the cult. Then again, it is expected that for a mother to protect her child from harm, especially a false accusation. I assume that you're here to watch the events. Yes, but I was also given another mission. And that is to provide as much assistance to the Shield hero and his party. Kushina looks at her and senses no deceit, but just because this shadow is being truthful doesn't mean she should trust her employers. Another thing, it is important for you to know this, a warning from the authorities Shieldforden to you. Don't trust Siltvold. Kushina did not expect that. Did she say that just because there's some rivalry between Siltvold and Shieldforden, or maybe there's something more to this? I read that Siltvold greatly revered the Shield hero, some even see him as their god. You act like there are enemies. We would have been on good terms if it weren't for the fact that the previous Shield hero died under mysterious circumstances after a month visiting the nation. Now this really got Kushina's attention, and let the woman continues on with her explanation. Back with the group. Earhart spent at least half an hour telling and explaining the other nations to the trio, such as Faubourg being the most strongest nation, Siltvold and Shieldforden, which is populated with beastmen and demi-humans, and Zeltable, which is considered a mercenary country, which they took note of being similar with hidden shinobi villages in terms of systems and services. Now I know Siltvold looks like a good destination, but I suggest that you head to Shieldforden instead. Why? I thought I would be very welcome in Siltvold. Naruto asks, not understanding he suggests this. It got to do with the death of the previous Shield hero. You see, it was Shieldforden who got the Shield hero before, and Siltvold did not like that one bit but decided to play along. When the Shield hero died just a month in Siltvold, it caused quite a buzz, theories fly everywhere. Now there's actually 3 claims that are most vocal. Melromark stated that the Shield is murdered by fanatical zealots in Siltvold who can't accept the fact that their beloved hero is a human. Siltvold claimed that the Shield hero was assassinated by agents of King Altcray and the Church of Three Heroes. And lastly, though not very vocal, most of denizens of Shieldforden believe that he was killed just because he's loyal to Shieldforden instead of Siltvold. Kushina is already aware that Siltvold is the opposite of Melromark, since the latter practice many extreme human supremacy policies, then the former very likely have the same thing regarding demi-human supremacy, that the title of Shield hero is not guaranteed protection if you're a human. If Shieldforden and Siltvold are populated by beastmen and demi-humans, why are they separated? What's the difference? Hinata asks. Don't know much of the details, but it got something to do with Siltvold's bloodline politics. There are many types of demi-humans. Hakuko, Genmu, Shusaku, Atatsu, Tanuki, Kitsune Harpy, and many more. It's more of the who's the better race type of thing. Earhart shrugs. This mentality is somewhat similar in her world, who's the better clan. She heard stories of how the Hyuga and Uchiha butt heads arguing who's the strongest now that the Senju clan is just down to one member Tsunade. These conspiracies make her plan of going to a different nation that is truly neutral. What about Froberry? You said they're the strongest nation, is it safe for us to go there? Hinata wonders if the said country is any better. My personal opinion. Don't go there because there's a very good chance that the king of Froberry will try to marry you. He said pointing at Kushina, surprising the trio. The Froberry royal family has a long history of marrying heroes into their bloodline and the current king is very notorious for his sadistic pastime with his harem. You don't want to become his 1000th concubine. If Kushina have a list of countries that she would avoid at all cost, Froberry just made it up to the top of that list. Also add to the fact that she will not allow Naruto or Hinata to be married for political reasons. After an hour of talking about the other countries, they bought their map and went their merry way, taking up their disguises again. When night came, they're looking for a good inn to stay in until they come across a large circus tent. At the side they saw a man in a traditional ringmaster tuxedo talking to his employee. It looks like it concerns about the girl in the cage right next to them. Boss, this girl was returned to us 3 times this week. She's simply too sick and weak to do any amount of work tasked for her. I see. Just how sick is she? Very sick. That fat noble never gave his slaves proper sanitation or a simple meal. I guess she might only have a week to live, 2 if she's lucky. Should we cut looses? Yes, poison, drowning, cutting her throat. Use the methods that are quick and don't prolong her suffering. Yes, sir. The man went to the cage and opens, taking out a knife. The girl, upon seeing the blade, moves away back against the metal bars, praying for a miracle and crying silently until the man is attacked. Get away from her. The slave girl saw a young man with red hair and blue eyes kick the man away from the cage. She eyes her savior without warning. He explodes in a puff of smoke, and when the smoke clears, she sees the true form. It is a child who looks to be older than her by 1 or 2 years with blonde hair, but what immediately caught her attention is the shield attached to his arm. She recognizes this as the legendary shield from the stories her parents told her. Her hope and joy rises as she realizes that her hero has just saved her. Naruto dropped his disguise after attacking the man. He stood with his back to the cage ready to protect the girl. He would have taken out his kunai knife, but because of the shield, he'll have to resort to using his fists and feet. Thankfully, Hinata and his mother came to assist him where the Hyuga heiress went to check on the girl. If I ever see you trying to harm this girl or any other kids, I'm going to smash your head into a bloody pulp. Kushina went besides Naruto and hold his shoulder to calm him down. At work as he looks up to her and relaxes, but still in fight mode as he glare at the man. Yo, you're the shield hero. What are you do? The man didn't finish his words when the plump businessman went past him. Sir Shield Hero, fancy seeing you here. I see that you're not really helpless and can hold your own. He looks at Kushina, then Hinata and the girl. Where are my manners? My name is Belaukas, a humble merchant at your service. So your business deal with slavery, am I right? Kushina grabs hold of her sword, ready to cut this man down if he thinks of trying to enslave her. Belaukas can sense that she's ready to gut him if he said something that would displease her. He must be careful with his words and try to be pleasing and cooperative as possible. Yes, among other things, surely you are aware that slavery is legal in Melramerk. It sure is not allowed where we came from. Naruto aggressively berates. Well, if you want, you go to the queen and talk about it. She is making peace with Silphill by slowly changing the views on non-human beings and working to dismantle slavery, but all of her work is overturned when the king took control, who have a great dislike on any person with animal parts. You seem rather fine with queen's stance on slavery despite the nature of your business. Kushina already knows that he's trying not to piss her off. The man just chuckles. I don't just deal in slavery, my lady, I also sell many exotic animals, and my business is slowly expanding into the spice trade, plus with my many connections both high and low, I might be of a valuable ally for you. Knowledge is power is what Jiraiya used to say when concerning his work in intelligence gathering and vast spy network throughout the elemental nations. She senses that he's being truthful here, and if it's true then she'll let Jiraiya handle this. Alright then, you've bought yourself some time, later on my friend will arrive, and you two will discuss things from there. Also, I'm taking this girl with us. Hinata helps the girl up and leads her out of the cage. Miss Kushina, she's very ill, she needs proper medicine and plenty of rest and food if she were to recover. Belaukas is thinking to ask her if she want to apply the slave seal on the girl, but seeing her reaction to slavery he decides against and let her have the slave for free. That girl might even got herself a much better masters than her previous one. Before they go however he gave them one advice. By the way, just a very helpful advice from me, keep a close eye on that girl, not saying that she's a troublemaker, but rather because she's unbranded, free beastmen and demi-human don't stay free for long in the capital, especially with the king who's promoting their enslavement. If someone saw her having no slave seal, they might snatch her away while you're not looking. And I'm not the only one who sells slave in these parts. Noted, if they try something I'll personally deal with it. Kushina states, making Balaukas chuckles. She carries the girl in her arms as they walk to find place for her to rest. Are you okay? My name is Naruto Uzumaki, that's Hinata Hyuga, and this is my mom Kushina Uzumaki. What's your name? And Naruto, I don't think we should be bothering her that much. Hinata warns him, but saw the girl gaining her strength. I'm Raphtalia, she introduces then asks. Are you truly the shield hero? Indeed I am. Naruto proudly proclaims as they walk to the distance. Raphtalia is a happy girl running through her village, playing with her friend Rafana and Keel. Then she went home to her parents. There they tell her of the tale of the shield hero. It fascinates her how the legendary hero, who are usually humans, came to the defense of demi-humans and beastmen, thus lead to the rise of Siltvold. Now she never understood why they're in Melramerk, which is considered an enemy territory, but her parents simply explained to her that they are here as a sign of peace between the two countries. She didn't think much of it as she fall asleep for the night, but then something scary happened. She awakes to the sounds of screaming and yelling, which is accompanied by many monstrous roar. Her parents came in the room in a frantic state. Her father carries her in his arms as they exit the house. There is when Raphtalia saw what is going on. The sky is red and breaking, and from the cracks monsters swarms through, engulfing their small village. They try to make way to one of the shelters hidden in the forest, but their path is blocked. A giant canine monster which proceeds to give chase. The family of three ran as fast as they could. They ended up at the side of the cliff. With no other option and desperate to save their only child, her parents toss her off the cliff. Raphtalia's last memory of them is that giant beast bouncing on her parents. Ooh. Raphtalia is flailing and panicking around her bed, causing a ruckus in the house, a terrible nightmare. But then someone gave her a tight hug, calming her down. A soothed voice. It's okay, I'm here, don't be afraid. After a minute of struggling, Raphtalia finally calms down, then broke down crying. She opens her eyes and wipes her tears, and saw the girl in front of her comforting her. Hinata Hyuga is her name. Raphtalia hugs the girl tightly, not wanting to let go. She don't want to be alone. Please don't leave. It's okay, you're safe with me and I will never leave your side. Not soon after, a man came through the door fully alert. Hey, I heard screaming, is everything alright? Yes, she just had a nightmare, no need to worry Mr. Earhart. His face softens into relief and pity, forming a smile. Oh, I see, can I get you something to eat? Raphtalia is nervous, but a growling stomach answers for her. The blacksmith chuckles and said. Well, I hear that's a yes, I'll be back in a few moments. When the doors close, Hinata turns to the demi-human child and assists her in moving. Take a deep breath and relax. Raphtalia did what she said and took a deep breath and then exhale. After she did this 5 times, Hinata went to asks. Feeling better? Raphtalia nods as she now calms down from her episode. Thank you. Hinata smiles, seeing that she's doing well, but that still didn't change the fact that this demi-human girl is sick, prompting the Hyuga heiress to take a bottle of medicine from her pocket. Before Earhart came back with food, you must first drink this, it's medicine, and it'll help you get better faster. Trusting her words, Raphtalia take the bottle and start drinking. Suddenly she spits out the liquid. Blech. It's bitter. Well, medicines aren't known for their taste, but Miss Kushina said that you must drink this if you don't want to be sick anymore. I promise we'll get you something good to eat. Remembering the time she gets sick before and her mother makes her drink medicine that tastes horrible, make her wish medicines taste good like chocolate or strawberry. Preparing herself, she gulps down from the bottle until it's empty. She is reeling from the horrid taste until Hinata hands her a cup of water, drinking to wash away the medicine from her tongue. Better? Hinata asks, to which Raphtalia just simply nods. The face she makes indicates that some of the taste still lingers. Then Earhart opens the door carrying a tray of food. Beef stew and steamed vegetables, laying it on the table and said. I'll be downstairs continuing my work, if you need something don't be afraid to ask. While the food looks simple for Hinata and Earhart, it is actually salivating for Raphtalia, who haven't eaten anything like this for a month now. She began indulging herself on the meal, filling her empty stomach. Hinata eats with her, though she's doing so with manners. She's not going to tell her about her lack of poise and lets Raphtalia eat to her heart's content. After that scrumptious meal, Raphtalia lays back on the bed again, still feeling sick. It's going to take a while for the medicine to do its work. In the meantime, however, she need to confirm what she heard last night. Is it true? Is what true? That the shield hero rescued me last night. The former slave girl wants to know if it's real and not an imagination in her head. Oh, yes, we did save you last night. Do you want to say your thanks to Naruto? Hinata is well aware that demi-humans like this girl in front of her worships the shield hero. And if you want to know that Naruto is the current shield hero, then yes, he is. That's great, my parents always tell how the previous shield heroes always stand up for the demi-humans and beastmen, the fact that they're always kind and generous, never afraid to face danger, and always ready to protect others with the legendary shield. And if Rafana is here right now she would have said it is a dream come true to be saved by him. By the way, where is he? He's with Miss Kushina out on the plains, fighting monsters so we can level up faster. I see, can you tell me more? Of course Hinata then went to tell her about where they came from and how they got here. It might be okay to tell her about the shinobi of their world as well. With Naruto and Kushina. While Hinata is looking after Raphtalia, the mother and son were fighting to gain more levels. At the early hour morning they fought some of the weaker monsters such as mush and balloons to gain materials to be absorbed by the shield. The bonus as expected is weak, but that +2 defense points is better than nothing and can be stacked with later bonuses. After dealing with a handful inorganic beings they then fight the organic creatures such as Usiple, porcupine, demon bats and giant rats. After eating lunch at noon they went to deal with the wave monsters that still linger around after the apocalyptic event, exterminating interdimensional bee and locust and hacking apart the interdimensional zombies and ensuring that they stay dead. That whole day of fighting have gained a considerable amount of experience, jumping Naruto's level from 7 to 12. Speaking of which, since the experiences that was gained are shared among the party members, Hinata's level is now level 8 and Raphtalia is level 5. Now why did she included Raphtalia? Well, she is planning and training the demi-human girl in the arts of the shinobi, so that way she can defend herself from those who wish her harm and can go on her own once she's old enough, that is if she's orphaned and wants to join them. After calling it a day they return to Castle Town again in their disguises, selling off the drops they acquired. Earlier that morning they sent out their clones to mislead the spies, though she learns that the shadows are not just following their clones, but also spreading out checking every building and alley. No doubt they realize that the clones are a distraction and they're trying to find the real shield hero and his 2 female companions. Their walk from the gate to the blacksmith shop is uneventful. Entering the shop they greet Earhart. Hey there, old man, is Raphtalia's better? Earhart puts down the armor he's shining and went to greet them back. Oh hey, you're back. As for the girl, she's eating upstairs, drinking the medicine that Kushina bought. It might take a few days for her to be fully recovered. So, what you two been doing? This time Kushina steps forth and answers. We've been taking care of the leftover monsters of the waves, learning what type of enemy we'll be facing. Yeah, of all things I wasn't expecting it was zombies. I admit that was bit scared at first, but me and mom managed beat them back to their graves. Naruto wrinkles his nose remembering an unpleasant moment. And man do they stink really badly, I almost puke right there. Kushina pats Naruto on the head for a job well done, and then she picks out a kunai and shuriken from her pouch and presents them to Earhart. Is it okay that I commission you in making more of these? Earhart picks up the 2 weapons and closely examines them, giving the kunai a twirl. He can see that the shuriken are mainly used for throwing, while the kunai can be used for different purpose. These look nice, weapons from your homeland. Seeing the woman nods he accepts the offer. Okay, sure, I can easily forge many of these. I might be able to forge a dozen of these in 2 days. Is that okay for you? As the blacksmith made his way to the counter to draw up plans 2 girls came out from the back. With his usual grin Naruto went to them. Hinata, Raphtalia, how are you doing? Feeling better? I still cough but only a little. Kushina took notice that the demi-human seemed to look older than the first time she saw her, almost like she aged up by 1 year. Miss Kushina, Raphtalia here wants to join to us to become strong so she can save her friends and protect them. Hinata said, after telling the former slave about her world and the shinobi. Raphtalia wants to be strong like Naruto and to serve him. She wants to be a shinobi like us. Really, you don't have a home or parents to return to? While Naruto is happy that she wants to join him, he's unsure if her parents would approve their young daughter to partake in many dangerous missions. My parents were killed by monsters during the wave, and my village was destroyed by soldiers. The young girl is tearing up remembering the tragedy that befell Uralona. I don't want to be weak, I tried to be strong like Zadina, but I can't do a thing to help my friends, please train me. She went closer to Naruto with pleading eyes. The Kushina saw the determination in her eyes, the sadness behind them, and the will to become stronger to protect those who are precious to her. Naruto after a moment of thinking said. I would love to have you join, but despite me being the shield hero and know how to fight, I'm still a kid like you. My mom is the decision maker in the party, you should ask her. The 3 kids turn to the only adult in Naruto's party awaiting her choice. Kushina contemplates it. After what seems to be a long minute she made her decision. I admire your commitment, but you must know our journey ahead lay many perils, plenty of hardships, there are life-threatening events, and choices that cannot be overturned will affect your entire life. Are you certain that you want to join us and become a shinobi? Raphtalia took it all in and became hesitant for a second, but she made up her mind, there's no turning back, then again there's nothing for her to turn back to, she can only move forward. I accept, Miss Kushina. Very well then, welcome to the team, Raphtalia. Kushina smiles as the demi-human girl is overjoyed to be part of their group. Thank you very much, I promise we'll not let you down. Naruto gave Raphtalia a hug, causing the girl to blush. Congratulations, you're going to love being a shinobi, believe it. I'm happy that you're with us, we'll teach everything we know to make you strong, and that's a promise. Hinata turns to leading Reed. When will she start? Once she recovers from her sickness, in the meantime she needs rest and proper diet. We can't start now. Raphtalia wants to prove her worth, but if that's what Kushina wants then she will accept. You must have a healthy mind and body in order if you want to start training to become a shinobi, Kushina states, but continues on. But if you insist we can start with shuriken tossing. The girl became jumpy when she heard that. Yeah, shuriken tossing is easy, Naruto stops as he realizes something, looking down on the legendary shield with annoyance. Right, I forgot, I can't use shuriken or any other weapons, thanks to this stupid restrictions. He let out a vexed sigh and shrugs. At least it didn't stop me from using jutsus. Don't worry, I can help with her training, even while you're busy with leveling up. Hinata voluntarily said, thus cheering up both Naruto and Raphtalia. Kushina then gave out her planned schedule for the new shinobi in training. While you recover you have an hour of shuriken training, once you regain your good health is where you begin to jutsu sparring with Hinata, we'll bring you along with our travels, make you get used to the fighting, is that okay with you? Raphtalia nods excitedly. Yes, I'll train to be the very best and become your strongest companion. I'm sure you will. She turns to Erhard and asks him. Is there a room we can train in? Erhard was watching this exchange from the counter, he is happy for the orphaned and homeless girl who is now part of the group, there's potential that they might become a family. Yeah, right at the back, there's an empty space where I test out the weapons I forged. Thank you. The four went to the back, they see it as a spacious room with target dummies on one side and a collection of weapons on the other, there Hinata teach Raphtalia about the shuriken and kunai and how to throw them, and thus her shinobi's journey begins. Fabri. Far from Melromark in the technologically advanced kingdom of Fabri is where the leaders and representatives from different nations converge. It went smoothly at first, where they agreed that Fabri gets to be the first country to summon a hero, then Zeltable. Siltvolt and Shieldfredin argued for the longest until they reached a compromise where the shield hero spend a month in Siltvolt then a month in Shieldfredin and vice versa, and Melromark is the fourth in line for the hero summoning. That was the plan before until news came that the stupid king of Melromark broke the agreement and summoned all four heroes. Morelia is deeply embarrassed by her husband's action, as he did this without her consent or the approval of the other nations. Needless to say that the queen is very pissed at Altcray, as she's busy appeasing the other leaders, compromising with representative. And outwitting her opponents, she's able to placate them by allowing them to send their envoys to meet the heroes. She write letters to reprimand her foolish husband, along with instructions to give special treatment to the shield and warnings if he failed to do this. To make her situation hard, the heroes refused to meet with the envoys, causing disappointment and many to blame her. She knew that Altcray and the church somehow convinced the heroes to not leave the kingdom. Her husband's stupidity goes further when he attempted to convict the shield hero of rape. Yes, he actually tried to convict a 12-year-old child of raping a well-known liar Multi-S Melromark. Needless to say that when the others learn of the scandal, they had a huge laugh, mocking Altcray's decreasing intellect and praising the shield hero's mother who proved her son's innocence. Her husband and daughter just turned her kingdom into a massive joke, with the aforementioned two becoming a national embarrassment. Her thoughts drift from her incompetent husband and daughter to the shield hero and his companions. It is very rare, but such cases where the summoning ritual brings more people happens. The first, recorded from 5 centuries ago, tells of a spear hero's sister who went to become a vassal hero later on. Another one records the husband of the bow heroine who didn't become a vassal hero, simply a close partner. Overall, the chances for the shield hero's companion is 50-50. On the bright side, Shield's mother Kushina Uzumaki proved herself a strong fighter when she instantly disarm or kill the knights who attempt to kill her, not to mention that they're very elusive, able to mislead or misdirect shadows, even dispatching those who are loyal to her husband in the church. What's even better is that the three heroes' church will have a very difficult time painting the shield hero as a demon. On a side note, there's a new record, the youngest recorded age is no longer 15, now it's 12 thanks to Naruto. After the rig trial, it's nearly impossible for us to track them down. Their skills and stealth is extraordinary, as they able to lead us in dead end time and time again. Her loyal shadow reports, although she hides it well, the covert operative is very impressed that Kushina and the two kids had duped them so easily. I assume our people didn't take it well, did they? Indeed, many commoners and nobles express their disdain for the trial, their respect for the king and first princess drastically plummet, and it'll take a long time for the king to recover his prestigious reputation. The queen sighs in frustration. Performing the summoning without my permission and hoarding all the legendary heroes is one thing, but attempting to convict a child of such heinous crime is going overboard. His unhinged hatred towards the previous shield hero just resulted in our kingdom becoming the laughingstock of the world. Melramerk is matriarchal society due to the fact that women can give birth, and so to an extent children are considered pure and sacred, thus laws had been passed by queens of old that grants protection for the youngsters. She turns to her spy with an order. I want you and your subordinates to continue on monitoring the activities in the capital. As you command, my queen. After the shadow left, a light knock is heard. Morelia turns to the door of her guest room, a guard opens it and letting in her daughter and crown princess Melty Q. Melramerk. Mother, the king of Fabry is ready to speak to you in private. Good, let us go then. Morelia left her quarters accompanied by her daughter and her loyal knights. Melramerk. Back with the group, Kushina and Naruto watch as Hinata and Raphtalia throw shurikens at the practice dummy. The new member missed many times during the first 10 minutes, but she's getting better at it when she's hitting the dummy consistently. Alright, it's been an hour now, you may stop. Already, but I was getting good and having fun. Yes, but you forgot that you're still sick, and also it's going to be dark soon, and we didn't have dinner yet, don't worry, there is still tomorrow. Kushina reassures her as she walks to the door. Yeah, I am feeling hungry, and mom's a great cook. Naruto is looking forward for dinner. Suddenly Kushina stops in her tracks, causing the three to look at her with puzzled looks. Say, Naruto, summon Gamakichi, see if we finally get our backup. Right, got it, stand everyone. Naruto bit his thumb to draw a trickle of blood and readies for a summoning. What's going on? Raphtalia asks as Hinata pulls her aside. A summoning, we requested some reinforcement from our world, hopefully it would be a success. Hinata explains. Summoning jutsu. Naruto slams his hand on the ground and before Raphtalia knows it, a burst of smoke erupts engulfing Naruto entirely. The new member is worried that something bad might happen, but immediately calms down when cloud slowly dissipates revealing an unharmed Naruto. That's when she notices that a single man emerges. This man is tall and well-built, long waist-length spiky hair, green clothing with a red haori, and a large scroll on his back. The man suddenly strikes a pose and delivers his introductory speech. Never fear, for the great Toad Sage is here to strike fear into the enemy and win the hearts of maiden. I Jiraiya of Konoha have arrived too. Hey, pervy sage, nice seeing you here, are you the only one? Naruto said so suddenly causing the man to fall down. Jiraiya picks himself back up and reprimands his godson. Damn it, Naruto, you really just have to interrupt my first introduction in this new world. The businessman Belaukas is overseeing the coming shipments of exotic animals and goods, along with many new empty cages in the case war with Siltwell broke out. While some would think that the Queen's effort in illegalizing slavery would ruin his business, in truth it'll do very little as it will only affect him on the surface level. His shady dealings and underground trade will still go strong. Plus there's the added fact that he's investing in the spice trade which is fast becoming a lucrative business venture. Speaking of spices, two of his employees went to him and laid down a crate in front of him, removing the lid. Belaukas grins at the sight, fresh raw cinnamon, picking up a small bark to his nose to smell it, savoring the sweet aroma, returning the product in the crate. He turns to his accountant. Well, I assume the travel went without much trouble. Yes, boss, as ordered we have 50 crates of cinnamon, 25 crates of ginger, 30 crates of nutmeg, 27 crates of pepper, 60 crates of cardamom, 40 sacks of sugar, and we managed to gain 55 rolls of soft silk. The merchant grins wider, anticipating a very profitable weeks to come. Good, very good, send word to our clients and buyers, they'll be very delighted by the amount of products we have. As you say, his accountant begins writing up the messages. They suddenly felt a presence behind, to which the two men turn, and Belaukas sees a familiar face along with a new one. Ah, Miss Uzumaki, back so soon I see, I guess this means your friend is here and this must be him. Indeed, this would be Jiraiya. I learned that you have connections with some shady people, is that right? Jiraiya tends to be careful when setting up a spy network. He must first know if this man can be trusted, and he's certain that this man either is cooperative due to money, or maybe he's helping them because he was ordered to. You heard right, good sir. Belaukas looks to it as right, glancing around the warehouse full of crates and cages. Let us talk in my office, it's much more secure and I can bring out some files and reports that might interest you. By all means, lead the way. Back with the group. 4 days had passed since Raphtalia recovered from her illness. Healthy in body, she now accompanies her new friends on her new journey. The plan for today is the same as yesterday, fighting monsters to gain level, but now with added training session for the young demi-human. She will not fight monsters right now, just observe Kushina, Jiraiya. Naruto and Hinata from a distance so she can learn each of their different unique fighting styles. Despite Naruto and Hinata being just older than her by 2 years, they can really hold their own and prove to be strong fighters. She learned so much from just watching them. Despite that he can't wield any weapons, except for shields. Naruto proved to be very resourceful, using magic from his homelander jutsu as they call it. His trademark shadow clones can easily overwhelm many enemies, and combined with wind-type jutsus, such as great breakthrough and air bullets, he can dispatch most foes with ease. She even learns that Naruto can summon a few hundred clones, effectively creating a small army out of just chakra. Hinata is very unique as she rarely uses any weapons for melee combat, mostly using her fists. Kushina explained to her that Hinata came from a prominent shinobi clan, the Hyuga. Their famed and feared gentle fist is their main form of unarmed hand-to-hand combat. She initially thinks that it is a massive disadvantage, but Kushina further stated that the Hyuga's gentle fist is actually pretty lethal, further explaining that they can paralyze limbs or the whole body, can knock an opponent unconscious with a single strike, even damage organs, even prevent the victim from using magic. Wearing armor will do little against such attacks. And with their Kekkei Genkai, the Byakugan, their attacks can be more devastating to the body. This information makes Raphtalia somewhat afraid of Hinata as the thought of doing so much damage without ever penetrating the skin sounds very terrifying. She definitely don't want to get in the bad side of Hinata or any other Hyuga. There's Kushina herself. Naruto and Hinata often state that Kushina is a fearsome kunoichi, strong and fast as proven when Naruto tells her during the farce trial, when the foolish king decided to have her executed just for proving Naruto's innocence. She disabled or killed the knights who surrounded her and made an ominous promise that she will end him if he ever harms Naruto, Hinata, or any of her friends. But when Raphtalia asks about Kushina's husband and Naruto's father, they were silent. Naruto explained he never know, and Kushina stated that she'll reveal his identity when the time is right. Then comes Jiraiya. Raphtalia first thought that Kushina is the strongest until the redeed and the two genins explains the powerhouse that is Jiraiya, the great toad sage, a war veteran with decades of experience under his belt, feared and respected by many, powerful shinobi of his generation. His humorous perversion and eccentric personality is debated by some as either his true face or a facade to hide his more serious and cunning side. During the time she spent with him, Jiraiya tells tales of his adventure and fond memories of his friends and student, fascinated that he befriended the great toads who can grow to a size of castles and can summon them in battles. She sees the legendary San and easily lives up to his name when he defeated several monsters with a single strike or two or casts jutsu that can wipe out clusters of enemies. On regular day of grinding to gain more levels, Raphtalia is on a clearing with Hinata. They're about to train into jutsu. Kushina is overseeing the spar. "Are you two ready?" she asks. Yes, they both said, getting in their own fighting stance. Hinata gets into her Hyuga fighting stance, while Raphtalia took of a more boxing stance, though clearly nervous as she's up against a superior unarmed combatant. Good, now begin. Raphtalia charges at Hinata with a raised fist, lunging at her face, but Hinata merely moves her head to her left, avoiding the fist completely. Then Raphtalia's left lift rise up, going for an uppercut on Hinata's chin, but she merely backpedals. The demi-human then goes for a kick, but the Hyuga easily blocks it. Another attempt with a quick jab, but Hinata parries it, throwing it off course. On and on Raphtalia kept on the offensive, but all of her attempts are easily blocked or avoided. The years of harsh training for the young Hyuga heiress have proven to be advantageous as she spots an opening and goes for the strike on the chest, but Hinata's open palm stops just an inch away from Raphtalia's body. The demi-human knew that she lost as this attack could put an end to her if Hinata was serious. "I yield." Seeing Raphtalia is bit in the slump, Hinata cheers her up. "Don't feel too bad, you're making improvement." Kushina joins in patting their head. "She's right, you know, your attacks are much faster than last time. Keep on training like that, you might become as fast as Might Guy." Kushina's clone had a word with Belaukas when she and Jiraiya visited the businessman. He stated that demi-humans and beastmen can rapidly age if they gain experience and leveling up. Proof of this is when Raphtalia was aged up by a year in a span of 5 days adventuring and gaining levels. Kushina is a little troubled by this. She doesn't want to rob Raphtalia of her childhood by continuing her path in becoming a shinobi. Then again, her childhood life was shattered because of the waves and the cruel treatment of her former masters, thus making her choose this life, so she can't protect the other children, so they won't suffer the same fate as her. "Who's Might Guy?" Raphtalia asks as she has no idea who the man is. The fellow shinobi Kushina starts, a Taijutsu specialist, in fact probably the best Taijutsu user there is. He can move incredibly fast and can shatter stone with his bare fists. In fact, he is probably one of the fastest shinobis I ever known. Kushina's thoughts drift to her husband. Naruto already know about the 9-tailed fox sealed in him, but he is still unaware of his connection to Minato. Raphtalia is astonished, looking at her own hands, wondering if she can have the same kind of strength or move faster than Kushina. It does make her wonder if there are more shinobi from their world that are extraordinary. Wow, do you think I would be able to become strong or fast as him? Kushina smiles at her. It's a huge possibility because I can see potential in you. They went to rest under the shade of a tree, drinking water and eating snacks. Hinata took out a piece of paper that she picked up from a guild. Miss Kushina, here's the list of jobs we can take. There's a village wanting to get rid some dire wolves that are eating their livestock, an escort mission, a village named Loot wanted someone to get rid of a high-level monster that went into hiding in one of the nearby mines, and many more. The young Hyuga hands the paper to Kushina, looking through the list she contemplates where to go and what to do next. She reads that there's a bandit problem, giant insects harassing farmers, though there are some missions that she'll never accept, such as hunting down escaped slaves. A wave of information hits her, her shadow clone just dispelled, which she learns of the meeting between Jiraiya and Belaukas, also added that the Toad Sage just summoned their reinforcement. Looks like our comrades are here. Kushina looks to an empty field which Hinata and Raphtalia did the same. Raphtalia is confused at first until Naruto, Jiraiya, and 2 other new people appear. She completely forgot that the Shinbua have a jutsu called body flicker technique, which to Raphtalia is a teleportation spell, until Kushina explained before that is grants the user extreme boost in speed that looks like the shinobi just appear or disappear. Naruto waves at them with a grin. Hey guys, Jiraiya decided to summon our reinforcement early, but he summoned just Kurenai and Kakashi-sensei. The red-eyed woman approaches Hinata and gave her a hug. Thank goodness you're alright, your parents and sister are worried sick, feared that you might have been kidnapped, it's good to see that you 3 are doing fine. Don't worry too much, Kurenai-sensei, we're doing our best here. Hinata pauses for a bit, remembering some of the challenges ahead. Well, there's the king of Melromark who have a grudge against Naruto just for being the shield hero and this country's main religion. We are all aware of that fact, we were briefed before we get here. Kakashi piped up, then chuckles as he finds the situation somewhat funny. I find it rather humorous that the princess accused Naruto of all people of such a heinous crime. Agreed, their plan to ostracize and convict Naruto backfired spectacularly. Kushina smiles remembering most of the gossips and rumors she heard, seeing their respect for the king drop dramatically. So anyway, is it going to be just you 3? Jiraiya folds his arms as he explains his situation. Not for long, bringing people from our world to this one is probably the same as me summoning the great toads for battle, but summoning to an entirely different world in a different universe is new to me. I just wanted to be sure that there be no problems by doing this method, which is why I'm started with a small number. The great toad sage along with Fukasaku and the others are studying and coming up with a new method as we speak, as they took an interest to this legendary shield that Naruto have. While the adults are talking among themselves, Naruto went to greet the 2 girls. How's your training? Hinata said that my fighting skills are improving, even Miss Kushina stated that if I continue on I might reach the same speed as Might Guys, or at least near his level. Raphtalia felt proud because of the compliment. You mean bushier brows sensei? Naruto thinks back to the first time he met the famed Taijutsu user, it was during Hinata's 11th birthday, then remembering a funny event with Guy and his sensei. Oh man, you got to know the wacky games he and Kakashi sensei played, did you remember that last year, Hinata? Hinata remembers the friendly rivalry between the 2 and smiles at the memory as she began recounting it. I remember it well. Guy challenged Kakashi in a rock paper scissors and lost. He had to go around the village 10 times just by handstand balancing a tray of cups and a kettle on his feet. He did it successfully though without falling down or spilling the tea. It's a light-hearted moment that made Hinata chuckles. That sounds rather hard. Raphtalia tries imagining the image already, she remembers Keel trying to do a handstand but ended up losing her balance, and to hear that this man was able to do it is pretty impressive for her. Speaking of which, we can try something that can help you become faster. An idea came up and Naruto wants to try it as he remembers his previous interaction with Rock Lee. I talked with bushy brows of how he moves so fast, I asked and he told me that he uses ankle weights, saying that he can move in incredible speed after wearing them for months. Raphtalia is now intrigued by this and asks. Wow, do you think it'll work? Naruto just scratches his cheek and admits. Truthfully, I didn't actually see him removing his ankle weights and then moves fast before, he said he will only do it in dire situations, or Might Guy told him to. Maybe we can ask Miss Kushina, Hinata recommends. The blonde shinobi take a look at the adults and sees that they're too busy discussing the next course of action. Maybe later, after they're done with their meeting, another simple idea came to mind as he turns to the demi-human. Hey, I can teach you the shadow clone technique, do you like to learn it? Raphtalia saw Naruto use this trademark technique of his many times before, the ability to instantly outnumber your enemies, overwhelm them with numbers, and to replenish lost manpower on a whim, is a must-have for any warrior and soldier, and with an excited smile the demi-human nods. That would be great, I'm always ready to learn from you all. Alright, just a heads up, you might be able to summon only one or two. In fact, it is best that you start with just one, because this technique requires a lot of chakra. Mom and Kakashi-sensei warned me before that this technique divides your chakra. Depending on the number of the clones, summoning dozens of shadow clones can potentially be dangerous. Wait, but I saw you summon dozens to almost 100 of shadow clones before. If what you say is true, then how are you not affected by its drawbacks? Raphtalia asked, curious and also worried for Naruto. The thing is, Naruto started, trying to come up with an explanation. I'm kind of the exception to this, because I have a large chakra reserve, very large. Naruto isn't comfortable enough to tell them about the nine-tailed fox yet. In fact, he would prefer that it would be her mother who explained it to them, as he knew very little in how the ceiling works, and being a Jinchuriki. Seeing that Naruto become very uncharacteristically silent, Raphtalia thought that he might have a deep troubling secret, and Hinata, who also have the ability of seeing statuses earlier, took note of Naruto's buff called Vessel of a Tailed Beast. They respectfully not try to peer deep into what it is. It is Hinata who broke the silence. Perhaps we should tell Miss Kushina and the others so they can supervise us, just to be safe. And with that, the three genins consults with the jonins. After their little snacks, they began training again. This time Raphtalia is learning the shadow clone technique alongside with socializing and getting to know Kakashi and Kurenai. For 2 hours Raphtalia practices with the technique, failing a few times until she manages to summon one shadow clone. For this achievement, Kushina rewards her by having a dinner at a nearby village called Loot, hot delicious meal and a cozy bed for the night. There Kushina and Kakashi went on to explain the uses of the shadow clone further, such cutting training time by half, and the clone's experiences and remaining chakra are transferred back to the user once they disperse, making them useful for spying and scouting. After eating and planning out their schedule for tomorrow, Kushina, Kurenai, and the three genins went to get some sleep, while Kakashi will be on the lookout and Jiraiya heading back outside, resuming his activities as spy master. Next day. The group have breakfast. Kakashi reports that he confronted some shadows. He killed those who are loyal to the king or the Three Heroes Church, disposing their body far away, while those who are loyal to the queen, he just had a nice conversation with them. A message from Queen Morelia, who wishes to talk to Kushina with the hopes of forming a mutual partnership. Jiraiya also say his piece, talking with envoys from Shieldfredin and Siltvold. Learning of the previous shield hero, he decided to dig deep into the case. 3 theories in how he died. Siltvold envoys simply stated that assassins from Melrimerk killed him. Melrimerk's side believed that he was killed by fanatical demi-humans who can't accept that their beloved hero is a human. And lastly, envoys from Shieldfredin theorized that the shield hero was killed for being too loyal to Shieldfredin. It's an unsolved murder mystery that Jiraiya wishes to solve. During their meal, Raphtalia gets to know more about Kakashi Haddock and Kurenai Yuhi. The former would be Naruto's sensei, while latter is Hinata's. From their explanation, she learns that they're quite formidable, where Kakashi is well known to have copied and used over 1,000 jutsus. And Kurenai is an expert in Genjutsu, the art of illusions, which varies to making enemies see things that are not real, to putting an opponent in nightmare-induced sleep. After a hearty breakfast, Kushina made Naruto's idea of ankle weight go through, strapping one on Raphtalia, but they're going to start with just 1 kilogram each. Kakashi explains to her how this work. Alright, then the purpose of these is to increase leg muscle strength. It'll be definitely feel heavy at first, but you'll eventually get used to it. It'll even reach the point where you won't even know it's there. As the time goes on, we'll be increasing the total weight. It'll not be easy. Rock Lee trained this way for years, and now it yielded the results. Raphtalia asks him. If I remove it, would I become incredibly fast, Kakashi-sensei? The masked man simply nods. Yes, but not just that, not only you can move at high speed, but your kicks will also be more powerful. Now we start working with your upper body. Do you like to fight with just your bare hands, or do you prefer to use weapons like swords and such? Thinking at her options, it didn't take long for Raphtalia to realize that she would be far better off wielding a weapon. She don't have the gentle fists like Hinata have, nor any unique abilities like Kakashi and Jiraiya. I think I would like to use a sword. Hearing this, Kushina hands the young demi-human a sword. Raphtalia marvels at the design, now knowing that it is hers. The redhead then explains. A simple wakizashi, masterfully forged and built to last. Use it well, Raphtalia. I will do my best, and you all proud. Raphtalia declared, looking forward in learning and gaining more strength. Nice. Naruto is happy that she have a cool sword. He would ask for one, if not for the strict limitation that the legendary shield imposed on him. So where should we go now? Kick some bandits' butt, slay some monster, or treasure hunting? This village have a few requests. Kushina lays down a map on the table, pointing at a certain point. But there is one that piques my interest. Nearby is a mining cave filled with ores and gems. We can use them to strengthen that shield, and also we can use a monster that currently inhabits the system as a practice for you. Me? Raphtalia is a bit surprised by her plan. Teamwork is important, Kurenai chimes in, further explaining the reason. Naruto and Hinata are already working very well with their teammates, and all is needed is for you to learn, fighting in a well-coordinated team, allow you to cover each other's weakness at the same time, effectively combining you and your comrade's strengths to overcome your obstacle and become a formidable fighting force. You don't have to worry too much, we'll be close by supervising your actions and step in if things get too dangerous. Kakashi reassures them. At this the demi-human girl merely nods ready for this simple teamwork exercise. Naruto then asks about the monster. Alright, so what kind of monster we are facing? Zombies, demons, giant insects, though we should get Shino since he and his family are well known in dealing with bugs. Kushina chuckles at her son's enthusiasm and decides to tell them about it. The monster in question is a giant two-headed black dog, level 15, and apparently is a part of the horde that was summoned during the first wave that wandered off and make home in one of those mines. It won't be too much trouble in fighting the monster as Naruto is currently level 17, Hinata is 15, but Raphtalia's level is 7. Oh, maybe we should get Kiba or any one of the Inuzuka instead, Naruto turns to Hinata. There might a good chance that they might be able to tame it, right? Hinata shook her head in disagreement. Kiba stated before that wild adult canines such as wolves are very difficult to tame and it's far better to just drive them away or put them down, the only time that is acceptable would be if they're still puppies. Ah, okay. Naruto thought it would be cool if they managed to get a two-headed dog to fight for them, it'll definitely intimidate many enemies and have a double bite. After some preparation the group head out, taking the path that lead up to the mine, double-checking their equipment and also bringing a rucksack in case they find some ore that can be used in forging weapons. Once they enter the mine Kakashi takes point activating his Sharingan to scout ahead, Hinata also activates her Byakugan to help the copy ninja out, it didn't take long for them to locate it not that far from where they are going. The tunnel soon leads them to a much more open area, which from what they can see is have multiple ores and gem-like minerals. Wow, should we mine these for my shield right now or deal with the monster dog first? Naruto asked, marveling at the beauty of this cave and its deposits. Deal with the monster first, Kakashi looks at Kushina and Kurenai and nods. Already your teamwork exercise begins now. And with that the three adults disappear from sight. Wait, where did they go? Raphtalia is surprised that they disappear so suddenly leaving just the three of them alone. Before panic sets in Hinata comforts Raphtalia. Don't worry, you cannot see them, but I can, just as they said they're watching from afar and will step in if things become dangerous, do your best. The Hyuga heiress's assurance calms the demi-human down as they prepare themselves, Naruto then summons 10 shadow clones as they surround the three forming a protective circle and bait, then one of the clones walks forward with a bell and a pan and start bashing the pan on his shield and ringing the bell taunting the monster. His shouts and noises echoes throughout the cave in hopes of gaining its attention. Hey dog freak, Naruto Uzumaki is here and I'm ready kick you back through the cracks. For an entire minute this goes on until he stops, waiting to see if there is a response, after another minute of silence. Think I might have scared it instead. Before Hinata or Raphtalia can say a word they hear a growl, thanks to her Byakugan Hinata immediately spots their target behind us. They all turn to face the beast and they took a defensive stance, all except for Raphtalia who froze in fear her terrible memories flooding back to her like flood as the two-headed dog reminds her of the beast that killed her parents. The beast charges forward pouncing on one of the clones who manages to block one of the head, but the other head bites his shoulder, causing him to scream in pain. The beast's momentum didn't stop as it carries the clone forward. Hinata grabs Raphtalia and move out of the way, the rest of the clones charge at the two-headed dog. Are you alright? You suddenly froze. Hinata is very concerned for her teammate wondering if it's too early for her to be in a stressful situation. I am sorry, it's just that monster looked almost the same one that killed my parents. She felt ashamed that she let herself become so vulnerable like that almost to a point of crying, but to her surprise Hinata hugs her. I understand, it can be very hard and traumatizing, you can back out now we'll not judge you, but if brave yourself just this once and to assist or even deliver the final blow, you'll be able to overcome this fear. She said in a soothing voice doing her best to comfort and inspire. Hinata's words have made an impact in the young demi-human, if she backs out now then this event will be a setback, remembering what she said earlier how she vows that she'll become stronger, committed to becoming a shinobi, and promising to not disappoint Kushina, her resolve strengthens as she grabs hold of her sword. I want to fight, please tell me what to do. They look at the battle between the shield hero and the wave monster, surprisingly it's going pretty well for Naruto, the fact that he's 2 levels higher, a jutsu that allows him to basically summon a small army, not to mention the legendary shield he can actually solo this fight. One clone managed to grab hold both of the heads limiting its biting range, then the rest punch and kick, dealing as much damage as they could. Then the real Naruto rushes towards the two. Hey, are you two alright? We're fine, I lost my nerves for a second, what's the plan? Raphtalia reassures him as she readies herself to do her part. They look at the battle, one clone was lost during the first seconds of fighting, but now it looks like they got it under control, until the dog's two heads suddenly bite on the clone, one on his face and the other on his neck, causing the said clone to disperse, then it uses its sharp claws to dispatch two more, and chomping down on another one, now it's down to 5 clones. Ouch, that really hurts. Naruto feels his neck despite the fact that it was his clone the one who got bitten. It's tougher than I thought, alright, if we want to take it down fast, we need to throw everything we got, I'll create more shadow clone to pin it down, Hinata you can hurt its insides and even paralyze it, and Raphtalia you'll be the finisher, go for its neck or head. Right. Raphtalia and Hinata readies for the attack as Naruto summons 10 more clones. With the numerical advantage they go in for an all-out assault, Raphtalia throws 4 shurikens, each hitting its mark on the dog's torso, 2 clones grab hold another clone, hoisting him up and spinning to gain momentum, then throw him at the beast, turning the clone into a human missile, both feet colliding with the dog's head, causing it to stagger. Hinata strikes at the main and lower body inflicting internal damage. Upon seeing an opening Raphtalia raises her sword and swings it down with her might cutting off the beast's left head. They initially think they finally did it and slay the beast until it is still moving violently, where the other head make a surprise bite on the head of another clone. It should be dead, said one clone. Maybe we need to strike both its head, said another. Raphtalia quickly pulls out her sword as the beast turns to attack her, but Naruto is fast getting in front of her using the shield to block the incoming head, then pushing it back, 2 clones quickly get in front of it and the next thing it knows is they tackle it, one grabs its snout keeping it shut and the second one holds its head firmly. It was this that the rest of the clone went to fully restrain it, grabbing its legs and body. Seeing that it is now in a vulnerable state, Naruto said out loud for Raphtalia to hear. Alright, this is your moment, finish it. Without a moment to lose Raphtalia rushes forward, jumps up high and falling down, with all her might thrust her sword forward, plunging it deep into the dog's skull, now it is really dead. Raphtalia looks down on the head ensuring that it's not moving, seeing that it's dead she lets go and backs away along with the other clones from the body, a wave of relief flows through her body. Then she asks. Is it dead? Yes, Hinata confirms it with her Byakugan, then she turns to Raphtalia with a smile. You did it. Raphtalia looks back at the Hyuga heiress and returns the smile, knowing that she finally got her courage. We did it. Naruto wraps his arms around their shoulders and bring them close to him making Hinata blush. Yeah, we did it. The 3 adults then appears before them, Kushina have a proud look on her face, Kurenai is more relieved, and despite the mask they can tell that Kakashi is happy with the outcome. Hinata-sensei sigh of relief. I was worried there for a second, but I'm glad you came out of this without a scratch. Kakashi take a closer looks at the dead beast, examining the corpse with his Sharingan. So this dog actually came from the so-called waves, fascinating, I think we bring this back to our village so our researchers can find out more about the creatures and this mysterious phenomenon. You do that, but after Naruto took a piece and absorb it to his shield, might get a new unlock. Kushina turns and went to the 3 genins patting Raphtalia on the head. You done well, though if we had known before that you have a trauma when it comes to facing monstrous dogs, the plan would be same as before where you just watched Naruto and Hinata fight, but this works out pretty well, you have conquered your fear and taken another step in your path as a shinobi. Raphtalia blushes at the praise, Naruto says out loud that should celebrate her achievement as Kakashi and Kurenai discuss more about the beast and the strange phenomenon. Things are looking bright despite ominous threat of the waves of calamity is ever getting nearer. The mass is held within the confines of the cathedral, Biscus Balmus is giving a sermon about the venerated and powerful 3 heroes, the genesis of how the heroes defend mankind from the savage horde of demi-humans and beastmen, along with the corruption of the shield hero, into the vile shield devil. Although the large hall is almost full there is a rising number where they are starting to doubt Naruto being the shield devil, mostly because of traditional beliefs of Melromark where children are incapable of doing evil, and if they do the faults lie in their parents or guardians or other factors. They have a foreboding saying which states that if a child who is not embraced by the village will burn it down to feel its warmth. The clergy remedy this by stating that the shield devil will do evil once he reach maturity, when the attendees heard they could not agree nor disagree, but all they can do is wait if it will actually come true. Once the mass is over Biscus leaves the mass hall and went to the castle wishing to meet with the king, going through the corridor he is accompanied by close priests and high nuns, acolytes and lowly nuns, made way for them and bow in respect, leaving the cathedral walking through the streets he began consulting with his inner circle. Any news regarding the shield devil and his companions? A hooded figure steps forward, this person is a shadow disguised as a priest, a man dedicating himself to the high priest in the church, with a respectful bow he relays his report in a low whisper. Unfortunately, your holiness, keeping track with the shield demon's party is impossible. My subordinates are doing the best they can, but the results we gain are just dead ends, not to mention that over 2 dozens of my best shadows have gone missing or end up dead. Our shadows lay dead, what injuries did they sustain? A priest asked, wanting to know more about the nature of their death and if it's connected with the devil. Some had their throats slashed or slit, some are completely headless, some with broken neck, some died through multiple stab wounds, and there is one where his head is twisted all the way to the back like an owl. A nun speaks up so suddenly with her conclusions. So the devil is not some helpless child like the masses believe, no doubt his childish front is just an act hiding a more sinister side. The more logical nun quickly and simply refutes her. You're forgetting about his mother, judging by what we've seen during the trial, she's a strong fighter killing or disarming the multiple knights, and from his reports, we can easily conclude that that woman is a former shadow, and a highly skilled one it seems. That is disturbing news, send more shadows, make sure that they're going in teams this time. Biscus ponders in what to do next, the shield devil have proven to be completely elusive, he fears on the kinds of diabolical plot he and his companions are formulating, worse is the fact that his mother is becoming a major hindrance to his plans regarding his son. She must be disposed of before she ruins everything. Let us hope that the king's shadows are doing a much better job than us. He and his entourage walk through the castle halls, he knew that half of the knights guarding here are all secretly loyal and subservient to him, it took some time, but his underlings have managed to work their way into the ranks of the royal knights, even convincing some of them to join their cause. Knights who are loyal and devoted to the 3 heroes, has the church's rosary as a sign of their faithfulness, the church followers and the royalists may stand united against the common foes, such as the demi-humans of Siltvit and the monstrous horde of the waves, but if it comes to allegiance and then there will be a rift, so far there were no disturbance among the armed men yet. The group reached the throne room where the knights open it for them, Biscus instructs his followers to wait for him by the door as he went in, there he is greeted by the king. Pope Balmus, a pleasure that you're here, is all well at the cathedral? No trouble at all, my friend, Biscus assures him, but decides to be a bit more truthful. Even if the people attend the mass as usual, there's been a growing doubt amongst the attendees, words of the devil being completely harmless is circulating, and whispers of the authenticity of our holy gospels is silently being questioned. All because that damn shield is a child, surely they're aware that demons can change their appearance. Turn into a beautiful woman, or a family member, a close friend, or in this case a young boy. Although he is doing his duties as a king as normal, there's a few whispers among the nobles questioning his ability to rule. Apparently he had broken a law, every accused have the right for a trial to prove his or her innocence, and that particular law demands fairness and leniency. If the accused is a minor, this means having neutral third party to act as judge, if necessary add a fourth and fifth party, and if the accused minor is found guilty, then punishment will be passed to the parents in the form of fines. Just fines, if the minor don't have a parent then a legal guardian, if the minor is orphaned, then the orphan where he or she is registered to will receive the fines. Speaking of which, have you learned any news regarding the shield devil regarding his activities? A simple question, but Biscus guessed that the king's underlings don't have such luck like his. Ulcray sighs in frustrating, rubbing his left temple. Unfortunately, we have no information about the devil's whereabouts and what he's doing, as if he and his companions just vanish into thin air, every lead that my shadows follows only resulted in a dead end. It's becoming very clear that the main problem is that damn woman, Malty reveals herself from the sideline. There's no possible way that 2 children can outwit and evade our shadows, that bitch no doubt is an experienced spy or assassin, if she able to hide herself and those 2 brats from us. Yes, that seems to be the case, Ulcray agrees with her daughter, then remembering the event during the trial, shuddering at the memory of the woman who looked at him with cold contempt in her eyes. Also add the fact that she possesses immense speed and skills with the sword. Malty scoffs. It is clear that she's becoming a threat to us, we need to get rid of her. She hated that woman not just because she humiliated her by exposing her lies, but also slapped her hard during the trial, her cheek can feel the sting on her left cheek. What's more, after that failed trial a very nasty rumor starting to pass around, it simply states that a rape did happen, but she is the perpetrator and Naruto is the victim. The king looks at his daughter with agreement but also concerns. I agree, but the problem is the fact we can't find them, I fear they might have already fled to Siltvald. We don't have to worry much about them leaving the country, the border between us and those beasts are guarded by our best soldiers and diligently patrolled by our shadows and scouts, besides we will definitely know as they'll throw parties and declare that the devil is within their country. Balmus hoped that the existence of human slavery is enough for them to stay clear of Siltvald. Plus, there's the fact of the waves itself, as a hero it is his duty to go face the monstrous horde, whether he likes to or not. Malty turns to Balmus with a question in mind. Had he synchronized with the Herglis? No, he doesn't. That's good, we can use this to set a trap, have knights stationed in and around the cathedral. When the bitch and brats went in to register is where we'll pounce, mages casting magic that can seal off her powers and knights in great numbers, charge in to apprehend her, and once she's captured we can brand her with a slave seal to fully subdue her. And when that's done she'll be brought here to convict her for the crime of assaulting the princess of Melrimerk and the spear hero, not to mention dismembering or killing the knights who surrounded her. The assault she's talking about was during the trial where Kushina slapped her on the face and punched Motoyasu in the gut. Already she's almost drooling at the thought of breaking Kushina down into a pitiful whore once she's become a slave to the royal family. Almas thinks about the plan, even though Kushina's actions is well justified with the vast majority of people backing her for it just physically attacking the princess, and the spear hero is in fact a crime, no matter how small it seems, nor how much the people defend her, and once she's out of the way there's nothing stopping them in their plot against the shield devil. That could work, risky, but it'll be worth it. The two turns to Altcray waiting his decision as well as a plan, since he is a well-known tactician and strategist. Very well, I will not let this woman become a threat to my family, I'll send our best troops for this, and I know the right mages for the job. And so the king began formulating a trap. Utilizing his soldiers' abilities to best effect and planning every meticulous detail. Unbeknownst to them someone is watching them closely listening into their plans. Jiraiya had hidden himself very well by using the transparent escape jutsu, the one he created for the purpose of spying on naked women. Upon learning of the plot he is tempted to commit assassination against these fools. He made the right call to spy on them for any useful information. He's remembering the king's words well regarding the trap. The placement of the troops, disguising mages as priests, magic sealing spells, chains and shackles, and of course a simple magic ink for the slave seal. We have to admit that the king is really good with planning this out if his past history as a great military tactician is to be believed. In fact his military intellect could match that of Shikaku Nara if only the king would let go of his grudge against the shield hero and learn to forgive and forget, especially since he already avenged his murdered family. Out of curiosity he read about the history of the Three Heroes Church, the real history not the heavily tampered and twisted version usually preached by the church. He read the history books given to him by non-Melrimerk shadows, and when he learned of their origins, he is quite appalled and disgusted. Never before has he come across a religion that was solely created out of bigotry and hate, not to mention the attempted mass murder on the people who are simply different, a sect that preaches discrimination and prejudice, justifying every evil and atrocious acts against every demi-human and beastman. Painting the shield hero as the devil incarnate just because the previous shield didn't agree to such a heinous plot and saved tens of thousands of lives. At that point he'll see to it that this religion fall and erase it from history, for peace cannot be truly achieved in this land as long as this cult as well as the others who are just like this keeps on existing. When Altcray finishes explaining the last details of the plot, Jiraiya inconspicuously left the throne room, heading out back to Kushina, and tells her of the king's plot. Faubory. Queen Morelia took a nice long hot bath after another day of intense diplomacy. All world leaders are furious that heroes yet again refuse to meet up with the envoys. She knew that Altcray Malti or the Pope has either manipulated them to refuse, outright barred the envoys from meeting them, or had people disguise as the heroes. She's relieving her stress by taking this bath and also burning portraits of her foolish husband and conniving daughter. Envoys from Siltvolt and Shieldforden are demanding the whereabouts of the shield hero, though she's aware that they knew where he is. Speaking of which her thoughts drifts to Naruto and his group. She was surprised to learn that they have the capabilities to summon their allies from their world. She's smiling at the news from her shadows that they're killing off any shadows loyal to her husband or the church, effectively leaving them in the dark. As far as Altcray and the cult know, they still think they are still three when in fact it is much larger. All she is hoping now is either Kushina or Jiraiya make an appearance to her so she can work something out with them. After what seems to be half an hour she get up from the tub, then dries herself with a towel. Wearing her bathrobe she went to her darkened guest chambers. Sitting beside her bed she prepares to lay down until she felt a presence. Turning to a corner she spots two silhouettes. "Identify yourselves," she demanded as she prepares to conjure ice needles in case of an assassination attempt. One of the figures merely brightens a light revealing them to the queen. "No need to be alarmed, we are just here to talk, you might already know me as the mother of the shield hero." Ashina Uzumaki. Morelia is a bit surprised that she's here at this hour, but it is to be expected as she did invite her and the fact that the Redeed like to do things in secret. In the flesh, and I bet you already know Jiraiya. The Toad Sage merely waves his hand and says, "Pleasure to meet you." "Yes, my shadows told me about you, but before we discuss," Morelia bows down before them, taking by surprise. The two shinobi were expecting this gesture from the highest authority of Melrimerk. I like to express my sincere apologies for the action of my husband and daughter. I assure you too that I do not condone their schemes and had sent letters and messengers reprimanding him, as well as taking extra care toward the shield hero. Kushina can feel sincerity in this woman, there is neither deception nor trickery, just shame for what her family had done. The person who should be bowing and apologizing should be your husband and daughter, they're the ones who done such a stupid move against us. Also, if what you said about the letters and messengers are true, then he's either ignoring them or simply refused to obey your letters. I'm pretty sure that's insubordination if not outright treason. Jiraiya gazed on the woman, finding any deception in her tone. Surprisingly, she's being completely honest. A disappointed sigh as Morelia admits it as she stood up and faces them. I'm afraid so, normally he would never dare disobey me like that, but it seems my eldest daughter and that cult are using his grudge towards the demi-humans and previous shield hero to their advantage. It's difficult for him to say no to her. Even if it means risks losing his head just to pursue his own goals of petty revenge. Jiraiya asked. Yes, I can assure you that he and my daughter will be punished severely for their actions once I return from my diplomatic mission. Dark thoughts enter the queen's mind, she is planning the type of punishment she'll inflict upon all Crayon Multi. The Redeed Shinobi felt the queen's dark aura, she knew she's serious. She'll have to wait and see if she'll actually go through with it. After all, despite their wrongdoings, they're still her family, and severely punishing your family can be difficult. And what about the Church of the Three Heroes? Surely you got some plans. Jiraiya wants to know her thoughts about the cult and if she have any plans against them. Morelia sat down on her bed, seemingly frustrated. For years I've been limiting everything the church can get a hold of, from lands to funds, reducing their overall power, but I'm struggling in bringing them down since their influence is deeply ingrained within Melromark society. Of course things get more difficult for me as my husband is undoing all of my work and my daughter colluding with them in order for her to become queen. From destroying Luralona to falsely accusing the shield hero of rape, it is a mess that Morelia must clean up and wipe the shame from her country. From the history I've read, they were there at the very beginning, trying to remove them is like trying to pull a nail from a stone wall without a hammer. Kushina didn't like them because of their biased views, now she hates them for their history of attempted genocide and teaching lies and false gospels. Jiraiya said his piece, speaking up his mind. You might call me as a man of peace, being a veteran in a war who done his share of killings, make me longs for a world without conflict, and this cult goes against everything I believe in. She stood up from her bed as she proposes to them. From what you told my shadows, you people are shinobis, the ways you operate are similar to a mercenary, is that correct? Pretty much, though we only take missions and requests from the people in the Land of Fire, we also include clients from allied and neutral countries. Jiraiya explained. That's good, but before I make a request I must warn you about the plot against you by my scheming daughter and husband. Yes, we are already aware of the trap they come up with, along with branding me as their slave. If they try to chain me, I'm going kill many before going down. Kushina will show no mercy against any other those conspirators, thinking if she's going to give them a quick death or a slow and painful one. I see, and it's good that you know, you are free to defend yourself as long as no innocent bystanders are harmed. Kushina and Jiraiya can agree to that. Now regarding these crimes that you supposedly committed, let me help you with that. Morelia went to her desk, picks up a quill, dipping it in ink and began writing. I, Queen Morelia Q. Melromark, hereby declare that Lady Kushina Uzumaki not guilty of the crimes she is accused of for the simple reasons. Lady Kushina's action against Multi is justified for the fact that latter had made an incredibly ludicrous accusations against the former's son. Lady Kushina's action against Motoyasu is justified for the spear hero had made threatening gestures against the shield hero. And lastly, Lady Kushina's action against the 8 knights is justified for King Altcray have no reasons to apprehend her. She wrote it all down in the paper. She also adds another paper writing a different one. I will also add this. As an apology for the farce trial I Queen Morella Q. Melromark grants Kushina Uzumaki, the shield hero Naruto, and Hinata Hyuga the freedom to ignore the commands, orders, and summons by King Altcray and Princess Multi without facing any punishment or consequences. You may do as you like as long as it doesn't come into conflict with Melromark laws. That sounds good and all, but will that letter be enough? Jiraiya is very certain that the king will ignore it like those before it. Kushina smirks. I think it's enough. The king's and the princess's respect and adoration from both the people and the noble have plummeted thanks to the botched trial. I heard many of the rumors and chatters regarding it, and many agreed to my actions. I heard at least 24 women said they'll definitely slap that bratty princess if she made a wild accusation like that against their children, not caring if she's royalty. No kidding, if I was there I'll definitely do the same thing. It'll be a fist to the nose. I don't care if she's pretty or a princess. The sage turns to the queen with an apologetic look. No offense. None taken. Morelia waves him off as she can understand what they're feeling. When my husband send a missive to me explaining about your actions, I'll reply with this, and also I'll have my shadows make copies of these so in the event that you somehow got captured and put on trial. It's too early for this declaration of pardon to be sent to Old Cray. She must maintain the illusion that she is not aware of what he's doing. The shinobi knew her motivation and understand it. Alright, so that settles it for the trap and trial. So what is your request? What do you have in mind? Jiraiya can already guess what it is. Bringing down the Church of the Three Heroes, and in order for that to happen I need something big. I'm aware that they're planning to rule my country through manipulating my eldest daughter Multi, but I need a solid evidence of their conspiracy. With a smile Jiraiya says. Your Highness, as long as it involves destroying that cult, I give you a generous discount if not outright free. Aurelia smiles back. And I promise that I'll pay you all handsomely for your services, turning to Kushina with assurance, as well as compensations for the troubles that my own family had caused you. For the next hour the three discussed their plans against the cult and the foolish king and princess. She also went on to explain in detail about political atmosphere that the summoning caused, a war nearly happened, the nations are understandingly furious, compromises are made, outwitting her opponents, and maintain peace. Back with the group. It's been a week since battling the two-headed dog in the mines. Raphtalia is making a lot of progress during those passing days, exercising to increase her strength and speed, swordsmanship training with Kushina, learning Jinjutsu from Kurenai, as she appears to be a natural as she learn, and master the tree-binding death and hell viewing. As for her nature affinity they discover that it's both yin and yang, which explains why she's learning Jinjutsu and gaining strength fast, to have at least some defense against elemental attacks. They taught her some water or earth which she choose the former since it reminds her of Sedina. And with that she's learning water bullet and water wall, but is instructed by Kushina to not use it until she fully masters them. As expected the adults took note of Raphtalia's age, which went up as she levels. She looks to be age 15 to 16 by level 21, not only her appearance changed, but her attire as well. During the fight in the mine she was wearing a simple brown shirt and shorts with a shinobi sandals, now she's wearing a standard issue dark blue pants and a long-sleeved black shirt. And over her shirt a pale green flak jacket that have two button pockets on the lower stomach. This type of flak jacket, although inferior to the ones worn by higher-ranking shinobi, provides decent protection, light, and can be worn by genins and civilians. She also became well acquainted with some new friends. Just yesterday Jiraiya performed the summoning again, this time it was Naruto and Hinata's teammates. Sasuke, Sakura, Kiba, and Shino. Like with Hinata the demi-human girl is fascinated by the clans they came from. First is Sasuke from the famous Uchiha clan. Like the Hyuga clan they too have special eyes or Dojutsu as they call it. The Sharingan having similar properties with the Byakugan in terms of seeing a person's chakra network with the added abilities of casting illusions and to copy a target's jutsu. From the initial meeting he was rather closed-off individual until Naruto said, he may be broody, but he's actually a nice guy once you get to know him. Second is Kiba from the Inuzuka clan. Naruto had mentioned him before where that particular clan is famous for their ninja hounds who fought alongside their chosen partner, as such they're specialized in tracking and hunting. Kiba's companion is named Akamaru who is small enough to hide in the boy's jacket. Raphtalia find this very cute and is becoming friends with them fast. From the Aburam clan is Shino. Raphtalia first thought they have giant insects to fight for them. Imagine her surprise and horror when she learns more of the nature of the insects they use, primarily the Kakachu bugs. They don't get stored inside a bottle or creep along the clothes, no they live inside the body. The demi-human girl out of curiosity asks Shino about the beetles. She regrets asking upon hearing the Kakachu technique. Shortly after birth, they let Kakachu insects colonize the body. This is so they can form a symbiotic relationship where host feed the beetles his or her chakra and in exchange the beetles will do his or her commands. And then there's Sakura Haruno. She doesn't belong to any shinobi clans, but she does show promise. She is recently taking lessons to become a medical nin. The reason being is that she don't want to be useless. After the battle of the bridge was quite ferocious, and she felt so helpless as she was merely ordered to stay and guard Tazuna while the others do all of the fighting. Seeing Sasuke's heavily injured after the fight gave her the motivation to improve herself. She's polite and easy to get along with. The four genins' reaction are that of curiosity and wonder. Kiba and Sakura were the most engaging when comes to asking the Raphtalia about herself and what it's like to be a demi-human. She can tell that she's the first demi-human they ever met as they take a closer look at her tail and ears. From lunch all to the late darkness of the night Raphtalia and the genins talk about everything from families, their favorite food, color, hobby, likes and dislikes, and hopes for the future. It is always best to build a strong camaraderie as they seems to become somewhat protective of her when they learn of what happened to her village, her enslavement, her former master's cruel treatment, and eventually rescued by Naruto Uzumaki. Then comes today, they're battling against giant porcupines, grinding as usual, only this time Naruto and Hinata's teammates are participating and she getting a front row seat in seeing them in action. The demi-human girl ran through the forest in search of an enemy to fight, hearing rustling nearby she heads towards it and she got there she encounters two porcupine monsters, she narrowly dodges the beast's attacks and needles, in a quick movement she rushes towards the flank and plunges her sword deep into the beast's neck. But the second one regained its composure and charges towards her before Raphtalia could remove her sword from the corpse, a loud voice is heard. Fang over Fang, two rotating projectile came crashing on the second beast, instantly killing it. It happens to be a boy and a dog. Thank you, Kiba, and you as well, Akamaru. Don't sweat it, just be extra careful with their needles. And with that the Inyazuka boy heads off to a different direction with Akamaru following behind. Raphtalia continues on towards the clearing ready to engage any monsters. It didn't take long until she encounters three more of them, only they're facing Sasuke. Without hesitation he performs 6 hand signs, though Raphtalia doesn't know what it is, yet she's fully aware that he's casting a jutsu, and she must get out of the way and keep her distance just in time for Sasuke to shout. Fire style. Fireball jutsu. The beasts have no time to react as they got hit and are incinerated, and when the fire is clear they are nothing more but charred remains. Raphtalia and Sasuke look at each other and then nod, no need for words, you know what to do. Sasuke disappears from sight in search of a tougher monster. She run again going through the woods looking at left and right, now she's seeing the light from the clearing, she almost at the field, but before she could go any further a hand grabs her by her shoulder, stopping her in her tracks. Hold on a second, Shino warns her, and before the demi-human could ask she hears something. Looking at the right she saw the porcupine monster dashing straight past them, wildly charging until it hits a tree knocking itself out. She can see that Shino's Kakechu swarming all over the beast's body, no doubt dulled all its senses. Alright, path is clear. He lets her go. Thanks, she waves at him before going to the clearing, she smiles at the bright sun, she'll fight in this area. She heard Naruto's voice and naturally rushes toward him. She arrives at the spot where Naruto is standing on top of a rock facing a porcupine that is charging at him. Naruto Uzumaki's shield wall. 5 clones stood in front of him and each summons a huge shield. This particular technique combines his trademark jutsu with that of the legendary shield. Shadow clone and airstrike shield. In effect it replicates the standard shield wall commonly used by the army. The beast ran head first into the shield, causing it to jump back only to find itself being caged by multiple shields. Naruto smirks as he got the beast right where he wants it. He's been experimenting with the shield and out of creativity summons multiple near unbreakable shields that all forms up into a cage. He named this shield Prison. Noticing Raphtalia he smiles and asks her. Want to land the killing blow? Raphtalia is eager to please Naruto and show off her skills, nodding and getting herself in a fighting stance. Naruto dispelled the cage releasing the beast. In a blind fury the porcupine readies for a charge, but it didn't get the chance when Raphtalia swings her sword down, beheading the beast. Is that the last of them? Pretty much, this area is clear, for now. Kakashi appears before them reading his not for minors book Icha Icha, closing it as he gazes on the distance. There is another group of monsters about half a kilometer from here. I think it's time for a break. Kushina appears next to the silvered-haired Jonin whose book suddenly vanishes from his hand as the genin all gather around. It is noon and you all need an hour or two of rest and eat. She took out a request paper from a nearby town that detailed a mission. Because the next mission we will be dealing with some dire wolves. Really? Actual live dire wolves? Kiba asked enthusiastically. Seems like you know what they are. Sakura got the impression judging by the Inyazuka's tone. Dire wolves are basically myth in our world, every Inyazuka kids know about this monster. And from the guild's report the waves seems to have an effect on them, making them more aggressive. Kushina reads out the details. These beasts tends to avoid civilization, but after the catastrophic event they're prowling closer at a nearby town, first attacking livestock, then it got to the point where they are attacking humans at broad daylight. If they're like the normal wolves then it's likely they'll be the same and travel in packs. Along with being in a group, wolves would display some tactical skill, mostly the basic like surrounding or cornering their prey. While they're taking a break Kushina then began telling them of their overall strategy, mostly the Queen's idea, which is simply propaganda that contradicts the teachings of the Church of the Three Heroes. They already got a head start when she'd proven her son's innocence, and the fact that Naruto is a minor by their law. Their mission is pretty simple: keep doing missions that help the common folks, which involves defeating monsters and bandits, and most importantly participate in the waves. The king and the church are not aware of the existence of Jiraiya, Kakashi, Kurenai, and the other genins yet, so it is important that they are hidden from view besides Naruto, Kushina and Hinata. Like before, any shadows affiliated to the king or the cult who got close are to be immediately eliminated, thus not only they keep their whereabouts and activities secret, but also reducing the effectiveness of their intelligence. Already Kushina, Kakashi. And Jiraiya had dispatched over 3 dozen shadows to which according to friendly shadows are consist of the best spies and assassins the cult have to offer. Jiraiya reveals the king's plan against Kushina, already come up with a countermeasure, and while the Genins are happy to help, but Kushina simply states that 4 Jonins would be enough. The countermeasure is simple. Jiraiya and Kakashi will first go in using either disguise or transparent jutsu, neutralizing anyone who is part of the plan. Kushina and Naruto will go in to have him register at this Dragon Hourglass. A shadow clone of Hinata will accompany them to make it appear that they're complete, and then after all things are done leave the premise. The Toad Sage also went on to explain their main enemy in this moment, which is the aforementioned cult, their motives and their history. Just like his reaction, they too react in disgust to such a group so evil. They finally found a religion far worse than the cult of Jashin. At the very least the Jashinists are fully aware about their god's wickedness and is very honest in their quest to spread death and destruction, which is why they are so few if not a single person. Well, the Church of the Three Heroes is the main religion of Melromark, was built on lies and discrimination while painting themselves as the good guys. Man, all because Naruto is the shield hero. Kiba is so glad that only one country has this cult. If this cult widespread, almost encompassing the entire continent or the world, then there is no hope in changing. But the cult this toxic and volatile, there's only 2 ways it'll end. They successfully defeat the demi-human nation or they end up destroyed. Shino read more of the history books he borrowed from Jiraiya. I'm rather surprised that they're still standing, considering that there are 2 demi-human countries, Ziltvolt and Shieldforden, and other countries that have a fair amount of demi-humans. I still can't believe they tried to convict Naruto on false charges, Sakura said in disbelief. Naruto likes to play pranks on people, but he would never do the crime they accused him of. The Genins are fully aware about the crime of rape, even saying the word or thinking of it leaves a bad taste, all except for Naruto, who is purposely leave on the dark and doesn't know the meaning yet. Yeah, though I know it's bad that my mom don't want me to say it, I still don't know what it is. The reason why they're not telling you the meaning of that word is mostly to make you appear more innocent, thus making their accusations against you look even more stupid than it already is. Sasuke smiles. Even if Naruto knew the word, his age alone is the main contributing factor that sees him innocent to the eyes of the law and people. Hinata then voices her thoughts on the matter and wants to tell of a particular gossip. There's been a rumor spreading recently that the crime did happen, but it's the other way around. Malty is the perpetrator, while Naruto is the victim. The Genins nearly laugh until Kiba says, "Hey, Naruto, what does the princess looks like, can you describe her?" "I can simply use transformation with 3 hand seals." He transforms and takes the form of Malty Melromark. It is an accurate copy of appearance from her emerald green eyes and crimson hair to her choice of attire. "Hello, I'm the Princess of Melromark, Malty." He even perfectly imitates her voice. "So that's Princess Malty. Raphtalia have never seen the eldest daughter of Morelia before." "You never saw the princess before?" Hinata asked her, which the demi-human answers with a yes. "Okay, I'll admit, she's very hot. Kiba would definitely not mind if she forces herself on him." Malty wags her finger and winks at the Inuzuka boy. Now, I'm probably the most horrible person you'll ever meet. I'm a spoiled brat who loves to lie a lot. I like to cause trouble and make people suffer. I cheat in games and steal from mama. I like to falsely accuse people of crimes, and papa will always side with me no matter what." Seriously, surely the king would do something about her bad behavior. Sakura is in disbelief, because if she did those things her father Kizashi will surely beat her as punishment, and it's much more severe if it was her mother Mibuyuki. Naruto reverts back to his own form. "Believe it, Mom and Pervy Sage told me and Hinata a lot about her after they did some digging. The king is way too soft and can't punish his own daughter, as he feels like a bad father if he does that. Had the queen ever done something? This is a matriarchal society after all." Sasuke asked. Hinata answers him. "According to Miss Kushina, the queen is tend to be busy with her duties, and when she did she sends her to study abroad, but all Malty accomplished is graduating from virginity. So that makes her a lost cause, making the younger sister the crowned princess instead. Shino sums it up well: spoiling your child and never punishing for any misdeeds will result in a problem child, and from how it looks the older princess did not improve in her qualities." After finishing their meal they rest for a whole hour talking things mostly about the new world they're in, the people, culture, armaments, magic, and the different races. Soon they were joined by the Jonins, but Jiraiya is absent, resuming his activities in setting up a spy network, they then explaining the details of their next mission. "Alright, then I will remind you all again, the king, the princess, the cult, and the general populace are not aware of your existence yet, so it is important that you all hidden or disguise yourselves well. As far as they know, the shield hero's companion consists only of me and Hinata. So we'll just hide in plain sight and act like the Anbu?" Kiba asked. "Yes, only I, Naruto and Hinata can only be seen in public. Do not stray too far, they are sending their spies or shadows as they call them." This piques Sasuke's interest. This shadows you're speaking of, are they like us? I eliminated a lot of them, and I have to say they are really good at hiding themselves from us. Kakashi was instructed to kill any agents belonging to the cult and the king. The friendly ones are pretty helpful, providing them with intelligence. No matter how good they are at hiding, Kakashi's gift will always able to see them. The strength level tends to be varied. There are those who know magic while some don't. There are some who are skilled in assassination, while some are only good at spying. And from what the shadows from Siltvolt and Shieldforden told us, Queen Morelia's is considered the best there is and are loyal only to her. Kurenai explained. Kushina pulls out a map, laid on the ground for everyone to see, and points at a specific spot. The next area we're going is a village up further north. It is a simple farming village that breed and raise sheep that grows high-quality wool, and the dire wolves are preying on their prized livestock. Wolves and sheep, it's such a classic. Kiba remarked, thinking of the phrase wolves in sheep's clothing and the story Wolf and the Seven Lambs. Any questions? Seeing the genin silent, she proceeds. Alright, let's go. And the shinobi went their merry way, moving at incredible speed. Kushina and Naruto kept close with Raphtalia, ensuring that she's not falling behind. The demi-human struggled at first, but over the course of the week she improves and now is able to move like them. She learned chakra control, allowing her to walk on water and on trees. Raphtalia is having the time of her life. It is a basic thing for the shinobi, but for a newcomer like her, she feels like she's flying, jumping from tree to tree and running with great haste. It gives her the impression she can go anywhere in the world. Looks like you're having a good time. Kushina smiles at her. Raphtalia answers with a nod and says. Yes, I love this feeling. Is this how shinobi move around your world? When we're on a hurry, yes, move fast and efficient. Soon enough they got to the village and the group stopped by the tree lines, farmers tending the fields and shepherds herding the sheep, living in simple houses, something you expect in a village. Remember, only me, Naruto and Hinata can be seen in public. But that the three moved down on the road and began walking casually to the settlement. The rest follow them closely by moving up through the trees. The trio enter the village and start looking for the chief or elder. Kushina asks one of the folks. Hello there, can we speak with the person in charge of this village? You want to move here? A man answered her, and when he takes a closer look is when he recognizes the shield on Naruto's arm. The shield hero, and you must be Miss Uzumaki and Miss Hinata. I assume you're all here for our chief's request. You assumed correctly, we just happened to be passing by when we heard of dire wolves troubling your village. Kushina lets off a sweet smile. Thank you and please follow me. The man motions for them to follow, and as he leads to a bigger house, I am happy that you decided to help us. Already these beasts got dozens of our sheep, 4 breeding rams, and even my poor Daisy. Hinata hopes this Daisy is a sheep as they follow the man. The people give them odd looks, but their expression are pretty much neutral. They arrive, and they see a stocky man who is helping out with the others in constructing a better fence for their livestock. Upon seeing the trio he stops what he's doing and come to greet them. The young shield and the mother of the hero. Cool, Naruto likes the title, then turns to Hinata. What about Hinata, does she get a cool nickname? Well, nothing, other than the quiet one and the blind girl, sorry. Kushina smirks. It is common for people to mistake a Hyuga member to be blind, a fact that the clan used to their advantage. She's quiet but not blind, she can perfectly see. Miss Kushina is right, I'm not helpless. The man stands there awkwardly, not expecting this info. Anyway, if you're here for the mission regarding the dire wolves, they can be located further up north into the woods. You can find them hiding in their den. I'll ask one of my boys to accompany you and lead you to it. No need, Kushina waves him off, preferring that none of them comes with her, which would result in her other comrades being discovered. The direction is enough for us, we'll come back for the payment once we've dealt with them. Oh, that's good, the man looks relief as he doesn't want any of his fellow villagers to be in harm's way, but looking at the Hinata girl again, he is a bit concerned for her. Just a warning, these beasts are not your average wolves. Dire wolves are much bigger and seem to be much intelligent. They might surround and pounce on you if you're all not careful. Noted, anything else you want to add? Yes, the king's men are looking everywhere for you three, more likely wanted to keep tabs on you like with the 3 other heroes. You just vanish like a ghost after that incident. He's referring to the failed trial. The king initially want Kushina punished for threatening him, but it seems it died down after 3 days. I like to keep our activities a secret and I greatly distrust that man along with that liar for a daughter of his. The man gulps when the Redeed gave him a piercing glare as if she's suspecting that he might do something against them. It's very understandable as the princess basically lied to have her son convicted of a crime he didn't do and no doubt sees everyone in Melromark to be their enemy considering the nation's religion and history. No kidding, rest assured that I and my fellow villagers have no ill intents towards your son, oh and good luck out there. The man went back to helping his fellow villagers as the trio walks outside, and once they step foot in the forest they disappear. At least 4 people who were watching them were surprised, but quickly get over it and resumes their daily activities. Just out of sight and further into the woods the shinobi converge. Alright then, the dire wolves are at the northern parts. Kakashi, had you scouted ahead? Yes, about 10 of them. Once he heard of the man's direction he'd went ahead and used his Sharingan for a moment, which is enough to find what he's looking for. It's going to be the same as before. Kushina started turning to the demi-human girl. But this time try to perform combos with your other teammates as much as possible. Sasuke turns to Kiba with a teasing look. Not going to be squeamish when we're hunting down canines. Kiba just scoffs at this question. I'm not soft, besides wild animals are dangerous that either driven away or put down when they threaten you. If they try to kill and eat Akamaru, I'll not hesitate in killing them. The said pup barks in appreciation for his partner's protectiveness. The trek is short and they arrive at the location. Hinata's Byakugan and Kiba, and Akamaru's nose confirms it. Like before the Jonins disappear to watch over the Genins, now they begin formulating a tactic in how to approach the situation. Alright, so what's the plan and how we deal with this? Same as before. Naruto asks Shino who is assigned as the team leader if the Jonins are not present. Pretty much, the plan before is when the Genins are separated into 2 groups. First is the frontal assault consists with Naruto, Sasuke, Kiba and Raphtalia, while the second is the long-ranged support group where Shino attacks with his bugs. Hinata will do surveillance with her Byakugan, and Sakura, who is learning to be a medic, as well as support with shurikens and kunai knives. By the way, Raphtalia, Miss Kushina told us that you have a trauma when it's against monstrous dogs. Are you going to be alright with this? I'm fine, I already had faced my fears and cured my trauma during the fight in the mines. Not to mention that fighting side by side with Naruto is a huge morale booster for demi-humans who look up to the shield hero. Alright then, the Aburam boy turns to the others, any more questions? Seeing no reply he then decides to give the order. Good, begin the attack. They spring into action. Raphtalia stays close to Naruto who summons 20 clones, spreading out and assisting the other Genins. Dire wolves who are aware of the danger coming for them come out to fight. Sasuke is the first to kill one of them, performing Shuriken Shadow Clone Jutsu to summon about 50 projectiles to surround the beast, making it unable to dodge. He then delivers a killing blow by stabbing a kunai on its head. The second dire wolf to die is by the hands or rather insects of Shino. The beast kills 4 clones before getting hit by 3 shurikens from Sakura. Angry it charges towards her, only to be hit by a wall of insect that rise in from of it. The beast run in circle biting and clawing in a desperate attempt to fight of the Kakechu bugs. Shino puts it out of its misery by throwing a kunai scoring a hit on its neck. Raphtalia is next one to kill. A beast charges at Naruto who easily blocks it with his shield, and the demi-human outflanks it swings her blade down and severing the beast's head. Then one of the clones calls out for her, where she turns and saw a bunch of clones holding down another one. She rushes forward running her sword shooting in the mouth, the tip sprouting from the back of its head. Kiba and Akamaru with their double fang over fang has killed 2 dire wolves. Their attack is not over yet as the man and beast combo continues on and strike another one. Sakura and Hinata stay close together where the Hyuga heiress watches the battlefield and on a lookout for any incoming danger. Sure enough Hinata spots one that is coming for them warning Sakura about it. The pink-haired genin quickly threw shurikens at it, but the beast dodges it to the left, then dashes towards the girls. Before it could bite Naruto appears with his shield raised blocking the beast. The girls flank it Hinata delivering palm strikes at the right and Sakura finishes it off with a kunai stab on its neck. The clone transforms into a giant Fuma shuriken for Raphtalia to use throwing it and hitting the dire wolf and to be sure uses her sword to stab it. And finally Sasuke deals with the last one, performing the fireball jutsu burning the beast to a crisp. And that concludes the battle. After the fight the Jonins show up to check up on the Genins to see their condition and to nurse any injury. Seeing that they're unscratched they begin clean up the mess, clones collecting the corpses and putting them on a pile. Naruto collects the parts for the legendary shield. Fangs, claws, and pelt, even a head are all fed to the shield, giving more bonuses and unlocks. 2 Naruto clones went to check the den and immediately came back with a discovery. Hey guys, you have to come and take a look at this. The group follow them wondering what it is, though the Jonins has a good guess. Coming inside the den they saw a litter of pups, about 7 of them all whimpering or barking for their mother. Sakura and Hinata get close with Raphtalia behind them. They're so cute. Sakura is beaming at the adorable puppies. Hinata carefully scoops up one of them and began petting it. She is affectionate in her coddling that she's exuding a warm aura, which makes the other pups come close to her. If I were to judge these pups look to be over a month old. Considering the practices and culture of the Inyazuka clan, it is only natural that they run a veterinary clinic and it is required that each Inyazuka member must learn how to treat dogs and other animals and also work in the clinic at least once or twice a month. So what are we going to do with them? Sasuke asks, seemingly unaffected by the display. Considering that we just killed their parents. This hits the genins hard. What had been glory for killing the beasts that was terrorizing the village has turned to guilt and regret. They robbed these little ones of their parents, and without them they're at the mercy of other predators. Surely we can take them in. Sakura implores the jonins. Taking care of a dog is a big responsibility, even more so if it's born in the wilds. Kushina explained. The words got stuck in her throat. While Sakura wants to take of them, she isn't sure if she has what it takes. Either we leave them here where they'll die of thirst or from predators, or kill them now to spare them the suffering. It might be cold and heartless for Kakashi, but it is practical, and not to mention killing them would be an act of mercy. It is not easy, but life isn't always easy and fair. The group contemplate in what to do with them until Naruto remembers what Hinata said about the Inuzuka clan. He nudges Kiba with his elbow and said, "Hey Kiba, weren't your clan famous for taking of dogs, and didn't you told us a story about a wolf tamer?" Yeah, Kiba turns to the adults with a declaration. "I'll volunteer to take them in, considering that they're still pups it'll be easy to tame and domesticate, and we Inuzuka are famous for our ninja canines." "Are you certain about that, Kiba?" Kurenai knows he's serious. She had heard of one of the Inuzuka's favorite stories and knows they can handle it. "I'm very certain. This is not the first time an Inuzuka tamed wolves. Take my mom's grandparents for example. Ashai and Mimi." A peculiar name, though the jonins knew who he's talking about. The other genins heard the name in passing, and Raphtalia have no idea. They have a pack of wolves as their preferred ninja hounds. They tame and train them personally, not to mention that a lot of us will be more than willing to adopt them when they learn that these pups are real living dire wolves. Kakashi turns to Kushina with a simple question. "What do you think?" The red-headed jonin smiles. She already has a reply. "I say go for it." Hinata, Raphtalia, Kiba, Sakura, and Naruto all sigh a relief with the Inuzuka showing gratitude. "Thank you, Miss Kushina. I promise we'll take good care of them and they won't cause any trouble. To ensure that they won't be a hindrance, I suggest leaving them in your clan's care, though this might take some time before they reply and arrive," Kurenai said, to which the genins all agreed. "It's fine, my mom taught me how to take care of puppy," Kiba said with pride. Sakura also adds. "Yeah, and we'll help as well." And so the 5 genins pick up the puppies with care. They want to compensate by giving them a new home, a comfortable one at that, where they'll make new friends, away from the wild and the merciless Mother Nature. The end. Thanks for watching. Also remember to subscribe and like this video. See you in the next video.